Judgment Day for the Lions. Can they deliver the knockout blow?
If we win Saturday, we may not turn up for the third.
The Springboks are on the rope. Their pride is hurt, but they warn they'll be stronger this time.
We're talking about our own new gearbox. We're not talking about 1 or 2 gears.
We're just hours away from the Lions' biggest clash for 3 decades. It's the South African Springboks against the British Lions, round 2. Hello there. Well, the British Lions have only once won a series in South Africa, and that was 23 years ago. Tomorrow, the 1997 Lions have their chance to make history by beating the world champions at Kings Park in Durban and wrapping up the series. And to help us look forward to the big match is Roger Utley, an ever-present in the victorious 1974 Lions Test team. And in our studio in Durban, Sky Sports expert Stuart Barnes. Well, their thoughts on the game coming up shortly. South Africa against the British Lions, just part of a great day of rugby union. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. We've 3 live test matches for you tomorrow. First up, the All Blacks against Argentina. That's followed by the second test between Australia and France. Australia 1 up in the 3-match series. That's all on Sky Sports 1. And then at 3:30 in the afternoon, it's the one we've all been waiting for, South Africa against the British Lions. And we are concentrating on that over the next half hour. What a difference in the 2 camps. The Springboks are in disarray. Today, Archbishop Desmond Tutu joined the bandwagon of critics, while the Lions are full of confidence after overpowering the world champions last Saturday.
Not the way most of us might have celebrated a call-up to the colours, but as this tour has conclusively proved, John Bentley is not most of us. A photo call with the difference on the seafront yesterday, and of the 2, it was the boa constrictor that looked the more worried. It perhaps explains why he tried to hide in Bento's shorts. Well, the 30-year-old from Cleckheaton in Yorkshire has been leaving calling cards for the management all tour, not least last Tuesday night with his hat-trick in Bloemfontein. And the unfortunate injury to Ian Evans has finally given Bentley his big chance on the big stage.
Yeah, I would like to, obviously the circumstances be slightly different, but I aren't complaining really. You know, I've got my opportunity, and you know, I'm sorry for Ian, but I'm going to have to take my opportunity.
Well, he's arguably been one of the players of the tour, unquestionably one of the characters of the tour. And those who know the Newcastle player well firmly believe he'll take his opportunity with both hands.
Every time he's gone onto the field, something's happened. You know, the James Small incident, the Gauteng try, a hat-trick on Tuesday night when the Test team had just won and you had to do something to force your way in. You know, let's hope that he does score a hat-trick, that it is fated that John and the rest of the team go on and do the job on Saturday.
Deep down, John, I know it means an awful lot to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it does. It's pinnacle of my career, really. Quite emotional, really.
Well, the one other area where the Lions were seriously considering their options was the back row. The Newlands 3, though, hold on to their places, but the management have ensured they have options on the bench.
Yeah, depending on the game, you know, we've got with Miller and back on the field, that gives us a lot of pace in the last 20 minutes, and it may just need that to clinch the game.
Well, Eric Miller and Neil Back were one of a few Lions who took the night off on Wednesday to go and see the Harlem Globetrotters, who also are in town this week, although the Lions are well aware that they'll be facing rather stiffer opposition than the Globetrotters had to deal with.
Saturday's game will be very, very fast. I think they'll play with a lot more intensity than they did in Cape Town, and you know, their backs are against the wall, and they'll be very dangerous.
Well, the Lions know that having effectively mugged the Springboks once, the South Africans will be rather more streetwise this Saturday than they were last Saturday. But even so, the management are still expecting the Route 1 approach.
I think they've always been a little bit slow to change tactics, and what I've seen on this tour, that's no different. But having said that, Plan A that they use is formidable, and they've got a tremendously powerful set of 8, terrific scrum half who can be a match winner given the opportunities. So we're very aware of that, and we know the first job is to stop that.
It's nice to get the first test, and you know, it's not a do or die situation for us on Saturday, where it is for them. It could be all over by Saturday, and you know, if we win Saturday, we may not turn up for the third.
Well, certainly history is beckoning here for the British Lions, but as Ian McGeechan told me last night, we need to meet fire with fire, but at the same time, as he put it, keep our brains in the fridge. But if the British Lions can do that here tomorrow afternoon, there is no question they are capable of closing out the Springboks and the series. Graham Simmons, Sky Sports, in Durban.
Well, quite rightly, the Lions are full of confidence. Roger, it's possible they could emulate what your great side did back in '74. Do you detect any similarities at all between the two sides?
Very much so. We were a side that were very together in '74. We all enjoyed one another's company, and we enjoyed playing and being out on the field together. And the same is very evident in the current crop of Lions. And I was very pleased to hear Fran say there that they recognise the major threat now from the Springboks as being their forwards and Van der Westhuizen at scrum half, and that combination has got to be stopped first of all before the Lions think about doing anything else.
Yeah, let's get the verdict from South Africa. Let's cross to Stuart Barnes in Durban. Stuart, you've described this as the magical mystery tour with only one change to this Lions side. Is it right to let it be?
I wouldn't have. I'd have started with Miller and Neil back, but I don't think they're going to play in the same style. Long chats with Ian McGeechan, and he feels the Lions defended heroically, but it was one of their less positive performances. I think they'll attack a lot more. I think they'll up the pace of the game as well. There's no doubt when they've split the bench with 4-2, what they're trying to do is give themselves ammunition up front to really take the game to the box. They know they have to stop them, as Roger says, in the scrums and on that gain line, because they are powerful players. And there will be a greater intensity to South Africa. But I think we'll see a very different Lions team, one trying to play more like we saw in Free State on Tuesday evening.
Thank you for that. Well, let's just remind ourselves and the viewers of the Lions lineup for this crucial game. And Roger, let's get your reaction first of all. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's a fine side, really. I had doubts at the start of the tour about Tim Rodber and his ability to play consistently. There's no doubt about it that he was a contributory factor to the success of the side last week, and he deserves to retain his place, although I feel very, very sorry for Eric Miller, who's been in outstanding form.
Yeah. But what about this man, Bentley? He's in for Ian Evans.
Well, Bentos is the obvious choice. He's been the man of the tour. In this try here, he was fortunate a little bit to be up against two forwards initially. James Dalton very nearly got hold of him. The cover streaming across, and it's very easy for a winger to step back inside, relatively speaking. He's outstripping a flank forward there. He gets collared by two backs close to the line there, but his strength and the momentum he's built up carries him over the line, and that's a fantastic try, no doubt about it, and it was a very important moment for the Lions.
Stuart, I know that you've got thoughts about the Lions replacements, the fact that there are 4 forwards in those 6 men on the bench.
Yeah, as I just said, I think that's a clear indication that they will play a strategic game with their substitutes. They're lucky in that Austin Healey, of course, has the pace and the experience to play scrum half and wing, which is a really unusual combination. With Mike Catt's versatility, he covers the rest of the back position, so they can play a little bit of a game there. Neil Back, for me, has been one of the most expansive players on tour, and he's one of the reasons why the midweek team have played such superb rugby. And, you know, Tim Rodber, yes, he's played really well, but I felt in the test match, when he picks up from 8, he struggles with his pace to get across the gain line, and sometimes he goes a little bit wide. And what I think Miller can bring to the game, and what I think he will bring to the game in the last half hour, is an extra dynamism, an explosion that will give the Lions a chance to really pick up their attacking game. Rodber has marvellous defensive attributes, but I think Miller will come on and give them a little bit extra in terms of their attack. So I think it's a very clever strategic decision by McGeechan and Telford to go 4-2.
Back with you in just a moment, Stuart, but we've a special report coming up from the South African camp a little later. But first to the man whose job it is, once again, to mark the Lions captain, Martin Johnson. Graham Simmons got a real insight into the attitude of the Springboks when he spoke to lock Mark Andrews. And first of all, he asked him whether the Lions had won the first test or the Springboks had lost it.
That was a game we lost. I mean, we made too many mistakes. You can't lose 5 line-out balls, kick 3 balls into touch direct, 1 ball from the halfway, kick off, and come back from halfway scrum. We just made too many mistakes. The Lions played well, make no mistake about that. They're a very good side, but we made too many mistakes. In the test level, all the side knows you can't make that many mistakes in the test and expect to win. So probably a bit of both. For one, the Lions beat us, and we beat ourselves.
You had a couple of chats, I noticed, with Martin Johnson throughout the course of the game. Did you two not get on during the game, or is that something from past history, Mark?
No, I don't know him at all. The game's about intimidation. It's about he's a captain of the side. And if he loses his concentration or his track, maybe it detracts from the rest of the side. If he starts losing his cool and the rest of the players start losing their cool because the captain's losing their cool, it could be a good thing for us. The game's about intimidation, the game's about seeing character weaknesses or flaws, so I was just checking the guy out.
This time around, I mean, I think it's going to be very different. I mean, obviously you will hope that the mistakes are eradicated and so on and so forth, but is the preparation any different than it was last time around?
I think mentally it'll be the biggest difference in place of physical. And also we've got 3 new guys in the back line, which will make a difference. The youngsters, most of them, as far as test rugby goes, they're very young, they're still babies. So we'll hopefully be able to put something more constructive on the field, coordinating between the backs and the forwards, and not just try and play like a mindless game, which we played last Saturday.
Is there any worry in your mind that you guys obviously believe you can take your game up a gear or two? Any worry in the back of your mind that, hang on, if we can do it, I'm sure the Lions can do it, because they've only played together once before, and perhaps it's going to be just as hard this time around as it was the last time?
Of course. I mean, every single test match is going to be hard. But I think last week we lacked a bit of commitment from all the players. The guys, for some reason, weren't as committed as I expected them to be, or we expected ourselves to be, and we made too many mistakes. You mentioned a gear or two. We're talking about our whole new gearbox. We're not talking about 1 or 2 gears. Of course, the Lions also going to be expecting us to come out harder. But this time, we know what they're about. They've all played against us individually for their countries before. Now we know what they're about. So hopefully it'll be a different game.
Well, we can see quite clearly they've been badly hurt. Roger, obviously they know that they've got a huge task in front of them, but I suspect you feel this is a mental battle as much as anything.
Well, I think so. I think the balance has shifted back in their favour slightly. Last week, the Lions were the underdogs and they had to do something. They had to go out and win the game against a side that was very highly rated, and the Lions proved that they weren't invincible. They go into this match now with the boot slightly on the other foot. The All Blacks are pinned in a corner. There's a lot of national pride at stake, and they've got to come out with a result. All they're going to do is tackle like crazy and stop the Lions from developing their game initially.
Stuart, give us the insight from out there about this, these stories about low morale in the camp. What's the attitude that you're seeing?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult for South Africa. There's going to be an extra intensity to their game, but they're under tremendous pressure. The newspapers have just been full of attacks all week. On Carl du Plessis, you know, you can see it here. Carl must face reality. He's described as someone who resided in rugby's equivalent of cloud cuckoo land. They don't see any shape, they don't see any pattern. And just remember, they lost to the All Blacks last year. Teichmann knows he could be the first South African captain to lose 2 leading series against the All Blacks and the Lions in consecutive years. I think they're under tremendous pressure, and if the Lions can hit them early and get into them, I believe their confidence could be quite fragile. And it's quite interesting. Mark Andrews saying they're not going up a gear or 2, they're going a gearbox. That might be the case, but they're still not a sports car. This is a tank division, and the Lions know how to play against them. They've got to stop them on that game line very quickly and hard, and I really do believe that they know more about South Africa than the South Africans know about the Lions' development.
Well, there's plenty still to come as we continue the countdown to the second test. After the break, we'll be finding out whether the Lions can become the Kings in Durban by finishing the job that they started last Saturday.
Dawson, getting away, Matt Dawson, still going Dawson, he's through! What a score from Matt Dawson! Dawson out to Rodber, it's floated out to Jenkins, must be Tate, it's a victory, the Lions have won!
And welcome back. Well, there's only ever been one test match between these two sides at Kings Park in Durban, and the Springboks won it. Well, the Lions certainly won't be bothered by the history, but will they be intimidated by the 51,000 crowd? Here's Miles Harrison.
This is Kings Park, where the 97 Lions will be looking to achieve their goal. If they win, they will only be the second Lions team to take a test series on South African soil this century. Now, the only previous meeting on this ground between the two teams was back in 1962. Final score, South Africa 3, the Lions 0. So in many ways, we'll be looking for a very different kind of game this weekend. This magnificent stadium was refurbished in time for the 1995 World Cup. And you may remember the semi-final here between the host nation and France. It was almost ruined by a torrential downpour. But there are no such weather problems here at the moment. The sun has been shining and the Lions supporters have been down on Durban's beach soaking in the rays. If they've got a ticket, they're the lucky ones, because you can't obtain one for love nor money. 51,000 spectators will cram their way into this ground on Saturday. The majority of them will be hoping that the South Africans stay in the series. But if the Lions win, there's going to be some party in Durban on Saturday night.
Miles Harrison enjoying some midwinter sunshine. Remember, it is midwinter in South Africa today. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Well, today, even Archbishop Desmond Tutu had a dig at Springbok coach Carol du Plessis. He described South African rugby as mean-spirited, and he criticised selections. And it all follows a week of abuse from the press for both coach and players. All in all, the world champions could be forgiven for feeling the pressure.
It was Carol du Plessis' birthday this week. Unfortunately, not too many people here in South Africa have been queuing up to wish him many happy returns. His tactics are apparently cockeyed, his players aren't up to it, and he himself is out of his depth as a coach. But apart from all that, everyone here seems to think he's doing a great job.
But to me, it's a challenge. It's a challenge more to really get the team ready to play Test rugby and perform at that level and do well for the country. That is the ultimate challenge. And as I said before, I will really keep my energy focused on that.
At the risk of making you blush, Carol, you come across, and certainly in Britain, as a very nice man, a very amiable man. If it got to the stage where you had to, or maybe you have had to, read the riot act to your players, you'd be happy to do that, would you?
Yes, certainly. They know that, and they know exactly where they stand.
Well, as the Springbok team flew into Durban from Cape Town this week, du Plessis could at least manage a winning smile. What he really needs right now, though, is a winning team. And there are one or two here who believe that that task is beyond him.
I don't think he can. He had the squad for a month, and we beat Tonga in a warm-up game. I think that lulled them into sort of something that we've got a good team. I don't think he can, and I think another problem is the Springboks are not fit.
I think they were in between two game plans, and I think what we've got to do is decide which way, whatever way it is, and enact it. But I don't think the players quite knew which way they were playing.
Well, if all South Africa has been chewing the carpet this week, so too, perhaps, has du Plessis himself. After all, at this level, you don't really expect proven thoroughbreds to go out in a test match and play like complete novices, but far too many Springboks did just that last Saturday.
I knew by myself I didn't have a good game, but, there's always the next game, to correct that fact. So I never, read the papers or anything like that, so I just never referred back to that because I just knew I didn't have a good game, but the next time I'll definitely play 100% better.
Well, on top of all the insults have come the injuries. So drafted in are youngsters Rousseau, Montgomery and Van Schalkwyk. Van Schalkwyk rather taken aback by his call-up.
Yeah, I hope they would call me up, but it was a big surprise. Yeah.
And what were you doing when you got the call?
Sitting in the toilet.
Well, apart from being a man who obviously takes his mobile phone everywhere, he's also a talented centre and possibly a lucky omen, since he's the only member of the national team who's played the Lions on this tour and beaten them.
I'm the lucky one. We won it, but the Lions, I think, are a different team now than when we played them, so they've just grown from them. So it's going to be a very tough one on Saturday again.
The Springboks do have some residual goodwill left to fall back on, although there aren't too many here right now who'd think a Springbok signature was something worth queuing up for. Well, back at base camp, where they've been really slumming it this week, just outside Durban, the spin doctors have just about been able to contain the fallout from the Cape Town defeat. Behind closed doors, though, the wagons are already being circled. Well, you can safely expect that the Springboks will throw the kitchen sink at the British Lions here tomorrow. The one worry, perhaps, in the back of their mind is what tactic do they fall back on if the kitchen sink doesn't do the trick. This, though, is a game the Springboks know they have to win. The South African rugby public will accept no excuses this time around. Graham Simmons, Sky Sports, Durban.
Well, Roger Utley, it's summing up time. What sort of game do you expect and what sort of outcome can we anticipate?
I expect a very physical opening quarter, particularly from the Springboks, who are literally going to put everything into that quarter. They've got to try and impose themselves. They've got to try and get themselves into the Lions, inside the Lions' 10-metre line, and they've got to do that by, I think, playing a kicking game. Whack the ball up in the air, chase it, try and catch Neil Jenkins under pressure, and try and get the Lions going backwards. The Lions are very good at the moment at stopping them getting to the gain line when they're running with the ball in their hands. How do you get around that? You stick the ball into the corners, you put it up in the air.
But will the Lions win?
I would like to think so. I've got this nagging feeling in the back of my mind that they're going to lose this one and win the third and win the series 2-1.
We'll see soon. Stuart, final brief word from you.
I think South Africa have got a plan A. I'm not certain about their plan B. For that reason, I think tactically the Lions are on top. And I take them to make it 2-0 tomorrow, David. An optimist to the last.
And just briefly, what sort of game do you think it'll be? Do you anticipate what Roger does?
I think Roger's right. I think Neil Jenkins will be under a lot of pressure, but if they don't kick well, and they haven't got great kickers, Neil Jenkins will launch the counter-attacks, and the Lions will relish that space. So I think they might just play into the British and Irish Lions' hands.
Thanks, Stuart, very much indeed. Look forward to joining you tomorrow. South Africa against the British Lions. It is just part of a great day of rugby union. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. We have 3 live test matches for you tomorrow. Let's just remind you. First up, the All Blacks against Argentina. That is followed by the second test between Australia and France. Australia, of course, won up in that 3-match series. That's all on Sky Sports 1. And then at 3:30 in the afternoon, it's the one we've all been waiting for, South Africa against the British Lions. In the meantime, my thanks to Stuart Barnes in Durban and, of course, to Roger Utley here in the studio. Thanks, Roger, for your company. Hope you enjoyed the game. Yes, it's all set for a great day tomorrow. I'll see you at 8:30 in the morning, and then I'm back again at 3:30 in the afternoon. Take care. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
With the catch and the drive to follow, Straden's in there, they're almost up to the line, the try has been awarded. Staying on his feet, Gary Teichmann, he's got support outside, the try has been scored. Getting away, Matt Dawson, still going Dawson, what a score from Matt Dawson. Gibbs is going through. Gibbs is still going. What a run from Scott Gibbs. Dawson out to Rodber. It's floated out to Jenkins. Must be Tate. It's a victory. The Lions have won.
British Lions Tour on Sky, in association with Land Rover. No test too tough. The British Lions Tour on Sky, in association with Land Rover. No test too tough.
In 8 attempts, only once has the British Lions team returned from South Africa victorious. That was 23 years ago. Willie John McBride led his men to a 3-0 series win back in 1974. Last Saturday's magnificent performance by Martin Johnson's professionals, though, has set up today as the time that the 97 Lions can rewrite history. British Lions have moved to the edge of the Indian Ocean to Durban on the eastern seaboard of Africa. And you can see the scene of today's match there, Kings Park. 51,000 will be packed in this afternoon to watch the men of Britain and Ireland taking on the world champions. Our live match this afternoon, the South African Springboks against the British Lions, Part 2. And naturally, the players are already here. Here are the Lions arriving. Fran Cotton, as ever, leading the way with the rest of the Lions management team. Watching the kit coming off the bus. Ian Evans there in the background with the sunglasses. And Captain Martin Johnson concentrating hard as ever. Getting ready for the huge battle that lies in store for them today. Mike Catt going through shot there with Jerry Guscott just behind. And the South Africans too, they're already here, getting ready for what promises to be a magnificent match. Hans Stradum going through shot, and there's the formidable bulk of Oz Durant. We'll be seeing him in action very soon. Hello there. Well, the British Lions, they are on the verge of their biggest achievement for 3 decades, but the world champions will be doing everything they can to stop them. The Springboks are not used to losing. They've only been defeated in a 3-match series twice in the 100-year history of South African Test rugby. And with me here in the studio to enjoy this fantastic occasion, the England captain Phil de Glanville and former Lion Dowie Morris. Well, Phil, obviously after the drama of last Saturday, what are you expecting to see today?
Well, it's going to be a ferocious game, another ferocious game, and the intensity of the game will be even greater than last weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
Dowie, do you think that maybe the Lions have now got the psychological, the mental upper hand?
I think they have, personally. I would like to see them go out and play the same game, but I think the South Africans, after being mauled in the press and by their public, will come out a different animal this week, and I don't think you'll see the ball being thrown out to the wings for the first 10-15 minutes, and if the Lions can actually absorb that, and if the referee's working quite well, we're in with a good chance.
We've had a chance for it all to sort of sink in and take in what they actually achieved last week. Do you think the series win is now on?
I've got to say yes. I mean, to go one up, like what Jono says, nothing's been gained yet. I mean, you know, they can lose the next 2 tests, and they're just another normal Lions side. They've got a chance for immortality today, and you know, they can actually do it. They've got the confidence. They've shown that last week. They've just got to go out with the right mental attitude, which I'm sure they've had all week, and 80 minutes away.
Let's hope you're right. Pitch side now at Kings Park are Gavin Hastings, captain of the last Lions Test side, and Sky Sports' Stuart Barnes. Stuart, first of all, what's the atmosphere like there today?
Unbelievable, David. It's the greatest atmosphere I've known since the World Cup final in Johannesburg in '95. Durban is absolutely packed with English, Irish, Welsh and Scots, and it's a tremendous atmosphere. It's pretty hard getting a drink in a bar, but around Durban now and Kings Park, while it's making this, are quite amazing scenes, and huge amount of optimism and excitement here.
Gavin, let's talk to you briefly about something we've not yet discussed, the fact that there's a French referee for today's game. Do you think that will make any difference to what we're going to see?
Well, I think in the past we've always seen the French referees adopting a pretty laissez-faire attitude towards the advantage rule, and obviously that, I think, can play into the Lions' hands. John Bentley has been the most exciting runner in broken play all through this tour, and despite the significant loss of Ian Evans to the Lions, I think that John Bentley won't weaken their performance in any way. If the game does become open, then I think that we'll see him running very, very strongly as well, and tremendous support from the rest of the Lions players.
Well, let's take a look at the Lions team for the match today, and first of all in the studio here, Phil, what do you make of this? The fact it really is only John Bentley, that's the only change. Tim Rodber holds on to his place.
It does. I think there are 1 or 2 other areas, I mean, particularly defensively and probably in the line-out where Tim has advantage over Eric Miller. I think, yeah, there must have been a very, very close call again between them after Eric's game on Tuesday.
Now, what about the replacements for this game? Because tactics will come into this, Dowie.
I think so. I think the South Africans got one chance really today, is to actually dominate up front and really hit the Lions. We've talked about the scrummaging. It didn't happen last week. I think this week it's going to happen. And then, but you've got also the likes of Back, who's playing on the top of his form, Miller. These guys can come in the last 20 minutes and actually help the side develop in that sense, because the boys are going to be in a lot of pressure.
Stuart, you're getting obviously first-hand feeling out there what the reaction's been like to this South African team. There are 3 changes now. The pack is unchanged, but do you detect an air of uncertainty?
Pessimism is the note that's being struck here in Durban, David. They wouldn't have made any changes. They've been forced through injury, and there seems no doubt at all that South Africa will play through their forwards and hope they can give a platform for Joos van der Westhuizen. But I honestly believe they've got a plan A, which is the power route, and if that fails, plan B seems to be panic. That's what happened last week, and I think the Lions know what's coming. If they can defend, they've got more to offer. I think we'll see a lot more from the Lions and more of the same from South Africa. So I am very confident, like the Lions camp themselves.
Phil, it certainly appears that out in South Africa, the mood from the Lions camp, and indeed Stuart and Gavin there, is very optimistic. They feel that both physically and mentally, the Lions are up to this one.
Yeah, I think they've got it just right, actually. I mean, as far as we can gauge from over here, I mean, obviously Martin Johnson's kept their feet firmly on the ground. You know, he was there in '94 when England lost the second test, having won the first one convincingly. He knows how the South Africans will come back. He knows what sort of pressure they've been put under this week and how different a team they'll be. And I think he's kept their feet firmly on the ground. But having said that, on the back of a big win against the Free State Cheetahs as well, you know, the confidence has really grown and grown, and they've got to go and take their confidence into this game and play with confidence. Don't go back into their shell just because they're 1-0 up.
Certainly after what was a marvellous win last week, Dowie, we understand that they were straight back into training. The whole sort of squad got back together again. There was none of this sort of them and us feeling.
I think so. That's been the...
And no Lions either.
That's been the benchmark, I think, of this tour. I mean, there's been no Wednesday sides. Like we've talked to before, you know, going on this tour, you know, there's always a test side put forward. But luckily this time they haven't. They've worked together. But I'm sure there was a few sore heads, actually, on Sunday morning.
I'm sure there were. Well, we can, in fact, now cross back to South Africa to hear from the Lions manager, Fran Cotton. He's with Graham Simmons.
Frank Cotton, I don't know about you, but the palms of my hands are starting to get a little bit sweaty. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty relaxed at the moment. I only get wound up when the game starts, but no, it's a very big game. You know, the biggest game British and Irish rugby's had since the final test in '93 in New Zealand. So, yeah, it's nice to have a big day.
Conditions are nice too, Fran, which is in your favour.
Perfect, lovely ground, no wind, be nice and cool by kick-off. So, yeah, that's perfect for rugby.
And it looks from the team that the Springboks have chosen, you can expect a bit more route one, which presumably you will relish.
Well, yeah, I think they've got to come route one. I mean, there's no doubt they're going to probably kick a bit more than they did last week, try and turn that midfield defence. The game's based on power, they're not going to change that. And, in our view, if we can really match them the first 20-25 minutes, the last 20 minutes is going to be the decider. And every game on this tour, we've finished stronger than the opposition, and I don't think today will be any different.
And how do you assess the mood of the team, Fran, as you've been in the hotel for the last 24 hours and on the way to the ground?
Well, throughout the tour, they've been an incredibly mature and focused squad of players. That's no different. They know the stakes are high, but that's what we hoped and prayed for when we left the UK. So, we've earned our opportunity now to win this series, and we're determined to take it.
Fran, the best of luck to you. Thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Well, he seems to have got them in the right frame of mind yet again, doesn't he, Dowie? There seems to be some sort of trick that he's sussed out, him and Ian McGeechan, to get the players absolutely right for each match.
I think in Fran's case, it's fright, to be honest. They get on the wrong side of him. But you've got to give them credit with Jim Telfer as well. I mean, they've gone out and they've said it, and they've picked a squad, and they wanted to play this style of rugby. And, we thought, oh, yeah, this it's all talk again. But, they've come through, and the likes of this man on the pitch now, the ball in his hand is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's just been a great sort of... The way it's gone through even into the Wednesday side, and the Wednesday side obviously against the Free State, they've played some fantastic rugby, some of the best rugby I think I've ever seen.
Phil, as we watch the players out there on the pitch, as we've just heard, conditions are pretty good, and that will suit not only Jerry Guscott but people like Neil Jenkins as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously a lot easier with no wind now, or very little wind. I mean, but I'd love to see Jerry and Scott Gibbs get more ball than they did in the first test. Give them the chances to run at the opposition and give them some space. We unfortunately didn't see them as much as they have done in the provincial game, so hopefully they'll get a lot of ball today.
Jerry was actually, by his own standards, reasonably quiet last week, so maybe it can only get better for him, and he was still pretty good.
Yeah, just one of those games. I think it happens when the ball doesn't come your way, and I'm sure he'll be desperate to get his hands as much as he possibly can on the ball today.
Thank you for that. Well, we can now hear from the man who sadly was injured in the midweek match for the Lions, Will Greenwood. Happily, he's now recovered, and he's talking to Stuart.
Well, Will, it's an end to the tour for you. Obviously a disappointment, but is it a relief as well that the injury wasn't as bad as some of the newspapers have reported?
Yeah, I've heard a variety of rumours. The Sun has me dead, and the Times has me with 3 dislocated shoulders. Basically, I'm very thankful that I'm in one piece. I've got scans and things to be done when I get home, but I'd just like to say on camera and in front of the press. Thank you very much to Dr. James Robson. I've struck a bargain with him. In exchange for him saving my life, I had to say thank you to his wife and daughter. So, Christine and Eleanor, if you're at home, thank you very much indeed for your husband and father, and hopefully see you soon.
Will, your tour is over, but it's very much one of those tours where everyone is still together. What does this mean for the entire party now?
Yeah, again, it's training this morning for the dirt trackers, as people call them. Again, it was an hour and a half with Jim Telfer and Geach, no letting up. They know that if it doesn't go according to plan today, then 5 or 6 of them may be required next Saturday. So there's no stepping off the gas just yet. The boys know they've still got a part to play, and that's what's helped keep everybody together, I think.
And of course, you'd love to be in the boots and in the kit, but you're not. You're in your blazer. But still nerves, I'd imagine, for the entire camp.
Yeah. I mean, last week watching the game, there was 14 of us surrounded by about 6,000 Springboks, and when Tatey nipped in for his gunslinging routine at the left-hand touchline, there was pandemonium broke out. It was like being at the Kop down at Liverpool.
And of course, Cape Town and Durban, very different. Lions win tonight, Will. What sort of party can you anticipate?
Well, I've bribed the doc again, 1,000 rand to allow me to drink, because I'm actually off alcohol, but if it goes well tonight, there's a few places that Joel Stransky, he's mentioned a couple of places to go, so I'm sure there'll be a couple of parties breaking out.
OK, thanks very much, Will. Back to you, David.
Well, we'll be hearing from Joel Stransky a little later, but Will Greenwood sounds in good shape, doesn't he, Dow? It's good to see that he's made a recovery from what looked to be a pretty nasty injury.
Definitely, he was, again, playing on the top of his game, and it's just unfortunate these things happen on the hard grounds, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's just had a few injury problems throughout his career, and he probably would have obviously gone to Australia for the test out there. And whether he'd been picked, I don't know. Phil would probably be able to tell you on that. But it's just a shame. He's going to have a rest, but I mean, he's got a big season coming up for next season, so wish him all the best.
But really what we're hearing, Phil, from him was typical of what we've been hearing all the way along from this squad. I mean, how solid they are.
Yeah, absolutely great squad atmosphere. I think it's worth mentioning the backup there. I mean, he talked about the doctor there. Fantastic professional backup that they've got off the field in terms of all the physios and the masseurs, etc., that they've got behind them, and the technical advice that they've got, the 3 main coaches, and that's made a big difference for them.
The last 20 minutes Fran Cotton referred to, he said that could be crucial, that could be the vital time, and they've been so strong at the end of each game, haven't they, Dower? Do you see that again today?
Well, if the guys are off their feet, obviously the 8 forwards, you've got 4 forwards you can bring on, because that's where the pounding will take place. But it's been a great boost really to the tour to see them so strong late on, because you expect the South Africans, with their professional outlook, but they've been able to get amongst them and the big packs and run these big packs around, and it's just proved good fitness coaching, good diet, good sleeping, obviously no drinking out there.
Of course not.
And you've seen what's happened to them. So it's a credit to the backup staff who've been able to give this programme to the players.
Well, hardly surprisingly, it's a 51,000 sellout at Kings Park in Durban. Graham Simmons is now outside the stadium, soaking up the atmosphere with some of the spectators.
Well, in the last, 24 hours or so here in Durban, it's been hard to imagine there's anybody left back at home in Britain and Ireland, because they all seem to be here. The place is teeming with Lions supporters. It's great to see them here, and as you'd expect, they're all very quiet, very restrained, very low-key.
Jump in there, fly down the way, and run, take ball, go with the ball, jump in there, jump in there, jump in there.
Confident today?
Too confident. I think I'm becoming a Springbok. I'm so confident now.
Match winner today for the Lions. Who's it going to be?
I tell you, it's going to be Gregor Townsend. He hasn't done anything in this tour yet. He's not had the space, but you see him today, and I think you'll see a couple of breaks from Townsend, and I think that'll win us the game.
You ever seen Neil the Lion before? He bears a striking resemblance to our number 15, actually.
Look at the ears as well. They're absolutely perfect, and the hair, glorious hair.
Are you confident about today's game?
I think he's going to kick them to death. He really is. I think Lions 23, Springboks 14. A definite must.
Yes, already quite an atmosphere we're in for this afternoon. The British Lions hoping to make history at Kings Park. After the break, we'll be hearing from World Cup winning Springbok Joel Stransky, as well as the flying Yorkshireman John Bentley. Remember, he makes his debut today for the Lions. Well, there really is some atmosphere building now at Kings Park in Durban. Second test, remember, coming up soon between South Africa and the British Lions. This, of course, you'll also know is the middle of the South African winter, but they're enjoying temperatures of around 75 degrees out there. And these are the statistics of these two sides. The head-to-head in 31 meetings between these two teams. South Africa have won 18, the Lions just 9, last of which, of course, was last Saturday. 4 games have been drawn. Now, in Durban, the Lions have never won. They've only met once at Kings Park, and that was back in 1962 when the Springboks triumphed 3-0. And today's odds, well, the Springboks are 15-8 on, the British Lions 6-4 against, so the Lions are still outsiders despite last week's fantastic win.
Andrews with the catch and the drive to follow. Stratum's in there, they're almost up to the line, the try has been awarded. Van der Westhuizen, Van der Voorde, men out wide here. Teichmann staying on his feet. Gary Teichmann, he's got support outside. The try has been scored, and it's Russell Bennett who's come on. What a moment for him. Dawson getting away, Matt Dawson. Still going, Dawson. He's through. What a score from Matt Dawson. The Lions supporters have gone absolutely wild. We're into injury time. Leonard straight involved there, the replacement. Dawson out to Townsend. Gibbs is going through. Gibbs is still going. What a run from Scott Gibbs. Dawson out to Rodber. It's floated out to Jenkins. Must be Tate. It's a victory. The Lions have won.
The British are going quite literally balmy, and that is such brave rugby from the British team.
So can the world champions bounce back from that defeat? This is what their fans think.
Are you guys confident?
Absolutely, we'll be up 20 points by half-time.
You told us that last week, though.
No, we didn't. You never spoke to me last week.
What do you make of the Lions? You surprised by them last week?
Yeah, they were good. They were good. They were surprising us. I think the Boks went on the field feeling that the game are in their side, but I think they'll put it through today. And there's no problem.
I think we're going to win.
By how many?
34-16.
There'll be passion this time. Last week there was no passion. This week there'll be passion.
You're a bit worried, though, about the Lions. I mean, they look useful. Better than perhaps you thought they might be.
Yeah, they're looking good. But I believe today that we can turn the tables. I think motivation will play a big part today.
Who's the danger man that you're worried about for the Lions?
John Bentley. Very good player.
Quite right, too. He is a man to worry about. Let's now get the view of a World Cup winner, though, South Africa's Joel Stransky. He's at the stadium now with Stuart Barnes.
Yes, I can tell you, David, a lot of South Africans are wishing this man had been fit and playing this afternoon. Joel, problems with the kicker, and Percival Montgomery from your home province, Western Province, coming in for a debut, kicking here at Kings Park. Just what sort of pressure is he going to be under?
Well, as you can see here, I mean, the people have got huge expectations. It's going to be a lot of pressure on not only him but the whole team. But he's a clean striker of the ball. He kicked pretty well against the Lions down in Newlands. So with a bit of luck, he'll have the big temperament and he'll come through.
2 other forced changes, Pete Rousseau and Dani van Schalkwyk. How do you think that will affect the balance of the South African back division?
Well, they're both really good players once again, but you know, it's a huge game today. You cannot really stress how big the game is today. And both relatively inexperienced at a high level. So, you know, once again, we'll have to see how they do when they come out. And hopefully, as you said, they're both really good players. Hopefully they'll come good today.
Well, it feels like an away game for the South Africans. The Lions roar going around Durban now. Gary Teichmann, he himself is under immense pressure as a South African captain on the verge of 2 series defeats, isn't he?
Well, it is big pressure, and the sad thing is a lot of South Africans are expecting South Africa to lose again. Many people can't see the Springboks coming back from last week's defeat. You know, the Lions have played really well. They looked brilliant last week. They looked even better in midweek. And South Africa really didn't shape last week. And, you know, hopefully with an extra week's preparation, they'll have got their act together. They'll come out looking good and relieve a bit of the pressure from poor Gary Teichmann.
What about the confidence factor? Do you think it's quite brittle?
Yes, because it is a young and experienced backline, and I think that's where the confidence is going to waver a little. The forwards played pretty well last week. You know, they dominated the second phases. I think they won the Ruxton Mall by about 50-odd to 30. So I think up front they'll be pretty confident, but, you know, they've got to be confident to use the ball they won. And with an inexperienced backline, you know, we'll only see how confident they are when they run out there and how they play.
OK, well, thanks very much, Joel. That's Joel Stransky's thoughts. Smiling, but looking a slightly nervous South African. Back to you, David.
Yes, I'm sure he is a little nervous, a little apprehensive, but I think, Phil, we have to say that he was fairly honest in his assessment there of the mood in South Africa at the moment as far as the team's concerned. Yeah, very honest. I mean, they are under, it's incredible the pressure they're under. I mean, they lose one game and the whole world's turned upside down on them. It's immense pressure, and unless you're actually out there and experience it, you know, from over here, you've no idea how much pressure they are under. I mean, it's easy to clutch at straws in a situation like they are at the moment, but Joel was pretty honest in his assessment of what was wrong and how they've worked to put it right. Yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see, as he says, you know, what the backline's like, what the team's like when they come out and start. I mean, I anticipate them being, one of the spectators there talked about passion, more than passion. It'd be ferocious as far as the South Africans are concerned. OK, well, today, for the first time in, 8 years, the British Lions Test team will take the field without Ian Evans. Filling his boots will be the Yorkshireman, who's already proved to be the character of the tour. It is, of course, John Bentley.
Out now to Bateman, there's a sniff of an overlap here, on from Stimpson and out to Bentley, and Bentley is going to score. Cat, now it's back, Bateman, he's got Bentley outside, is this the Bentley hat-trick? It is!
I hate the term dirt tracker, and I aren't a dirt tracker, I want to play on the test side.
Long pass out to Bentley, he's already got one, he's going to get another, John Bentley! Made it look so simple. Howley with a long pass, out there to Guscott, Guscott on to Bentley. John Bentley will go through the middle, look at Bentley go!
You know, if we win Saturday, we may not turn up for the third.
Tries the outside again, oh yes, John Bentley. Stripped two men there, it's still going. He's beaten 3 and 4. If he goes all the way, it will be a magnificent try. What a score from John Bentley. You don't see many like that.
Yes, he really is quite a player, quite a character. Let's hope we see some more of that today. It's time, as we approach kick-off time, to get some final thoughts on this game. Dowie, last week you just had this feeling that Matt Dawson could produce the game of his life. And, I mean, how right you were. I hate to say you got it right, but you did.
Thank you, David. No, it's as I said before, when your back's against the wall, Matt was third choice out there, lucky to go on the tour by some people's eyes.
Yeah.
He's a quality player. Again, he's been injured most of the season, but you know, what a game he played. And when you're down like that, when the chips are down, you're always going to, you put pressure on Joos van der Westhuizen, and the forwards give him the platform. That's all he needed.
Yeah. And Phil, I guess we have to say that the fairy tale happened last week for Matt. Could it happen for John Bentley today?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, he'll be hungry. He'll be running around looking for that ball as much as he can, and him and the midfield, I hope, get as much ball as possible.
Gavin, out there in the stadium, your final thoughts about this game and the way you see the Lions approaching it?
Well, the Lions have been out for the last 15 or 20 minutes just getting the atmosphere. The atmosphere is quite incredible. We've got a disco here in Kings Park, but just looking around at the Lions, speaking to the management, they really are up for it, and I really feel that they've got an excellent chance of winning the game. If their defence is equally as good as it was last week, then I know that the Lions are good enough for winning this Test series.
The South Africans, of course, are desperate to make it 1-1, but they must know too that they are on the edge of disaster if it goes wrong.
Well, that's right, and there's no doubt, of course, that all the pressure is on the Springboks, and I think the opening quarter is going to be quite incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a punch-up within the opening 20 minutes, but the intensity of this game is going to be incredible, and it could go either way. I really hope it's the Lions.
Gavin, we've seen Carol du Plessis trying to put on a smiling front this week, but deep down he must be a worried man.
Yes, indeed. I didn't quite hear that question, but there's no doubt we're just sort of seeing the last sort of 10 minutes into this game. The Lions, I think, are really going to have to play tremendously well. Their tackles have got to count. I think there's going to be a lot of kicking in the game also, and Neil Jenkins is a crucial man. If he kicks the goals, then the Lions have certainly got a great chance for victory.
Gavin, thanks for that. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you later. Back to our guest here in the studio, Phil. As we approach kick-off time, it's obviously nervous for the boys, but they know what has to be done. And right now in that dressing room, what will they be doing?
Just concentrating. I mean, you know, the last 10 or 15 minutes before you run out, totally focused on the kick-off and everything that each individual is going to be doing from the moment they kick off. As soon as they come out, they'll shut the crowd out, be concentrating on what they're doing on the pitch. It's
really too late to do the detail now. This is just moments for quiet reassurance, isn't it?
It's all the preparation's done now. I mean, you know, it's down to each individual player. It's as simple as that, and I hope that they'll all be up for it massively in that changing room.
Well, we are now moments away from the Lions' biggest game in 3 decades. The first professional British Lions team ever to tour have the chance to win a series against the world champions South Africa, and you can watch the whole game live right here on Sky Sports after the break. We're awaiting the action in the Kings Park Stadium in Durban. This is the colourful pre-match entertainment that's happening out there. Remember, we are in KwaZulu-Natal, that's the province of South Africa where this game is taking place. These are the local dancers putting on the pre-match entertainment for a capacity crowd. Remember, it's the second test between South Africa and the British Lions coming up any minute. We have Phil de Glanville with us in the studio along with Dowie Morris. Final thoughts on the way this game will go, Phil. What would you say is the key areas we're looking for when the game gets underway?
Well, specifically in the line-out, really. I mean, Jeremy Davison did so well in the last game. I think the Lions will have worked on a couple of other options, Tim Rodber, hopefully, and Martin Johnson also, moving him around, because I think Jeremy's going to be a targeted man today, having done so well in the first test, and I'm sure the South Africans will be putting a bit of pressure on him, to say the least. What sort of pressure that is remains to be seen, but the line-out is a key area.
And Dowie, what is the... you're looking at Joubert in particular, aren't you?
I thought, he's a fantastic player, a match-winning player, but last week he just didn't want to see it. He just didn't want the high balls at all, and again, I'm sure Ian McGeechan will have sorted that out, and I'd like to see a few bombs straight up on him from the kick-off, because he just didn't want it. People were coming in his face, and you could see he was taking his eyes off the ball, and that's one avenue they should track. But I think the major thing for me is how that Didier Mene, the French referee, how he interprets the game.
OK, thank you for that. Let's now cross to our commentary team in Kings Park. It is, of course, Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
Thanks, David. Rarely has a rugby match been so anticipated. And for a British or Irish rugby player, this is just about top of the tree. The chance to win a series against South Africa in a Lions jersey. And the Lions have made that one change to the side that won the first test. The injured Ian Evans has limped out of the tour, so John Bentley gets a deserved chance to make even more of an impact here. The Scottish pair, Gregor Townsend and Tom Smith, have recovered from knocks picked up in Cape Town. There was much debate, but apart from that, Ian McGeechan has decided to stick with what has turned out to be the top selection. Well, South Africa have been less fortunate with injury, losing James Small, Yappie Mulder and Edric Lubba, so in come Percy Montgomery and Peter Rousseau to win their first caps, plus Dani van Schalkwyk, who won 4 caps last year and played so well against the Lions when they lost to Northern Transvaal at Loftus Versfeld. The pack, despite being heavily criticised in the South African media, stays intact, but coach Carl du Plessis and captain Gary Teichmann, they will be expecting a much better effort from the 8 today. Really is a great atmosphere in the ground. And the Zulu dancers entertaining us all. They're the replacements, and there have been significant alterations on the bench. The Lions have gone for 2 backs and 4 forwards this time, with Eric Miller and Neil Back waiting should the Lions wish to change their style. And for South Africa, Russell Bennett came on last week, scored a try, almost got another, denied by a forward pass. It proved to be pivotal, that refereeing decision. I just wonder what's in store today. Vivid splashes of red, so evident. They were in Cape Town 7 days ago. They've all come to Durban. Even more, the travelling support has almost made as much of an impression as the Lions team here in South Africa. In Kings Park, over 50,000 crammed in, the home of South Africa's leading province, Natal. I suppose when the Lions put over 40 points on the board here against the Sharks 2 weeks ago, I think that was the point when we all realised that we could be witnessing a sporting story which we could tell for years. Martin Johnson leading out the Lions in a test match for the second time. And there is great tension on those faces, Stuart.
Well, this is what they've been working for, Miles. Everyone is expecting a whirlwind from South Africa for 20 minutes, but the Lions have come out determined to hit hard. Martin Johnson knows they've got 3 new players. They're inexperienced, they're unsettled. The Lions must start well this afternoon.
They've done it once. Can they do it again? Is Johnson about to emulate Willie John McBride and lead the Lions to a series win in South Africa? His final words. He said in the week that all the talking will be done by now, but I suppose in the heat of the atmosphere it's important for the captain just to calm everybody down and focus them. That's John Bentley. He will be talking today. Been such a significant figure for the tour, both on and off the field.
Yes, he has, and you can see Scott Gibbs there and Bentley talking. It's the Rugby League communication. You can see just how hyped this Lions team are. And here's a man under real pressure, Gary Teichmann.
South Africa, a dangerous animal when they've been wounded. They've been doubting in these parts whether these players want to wear that Springbok jersey. I have a feeling that they will show to everybody today that they most certainly do.
Oh, they are proud men. Teichmann had a lot of criticism. A fine player, now he must prove himself a leader, but the South Africans are so dangerous when they're down. I remember 94 in England, they were flattened in Pretoria and they came back and flattened England in Cape Town. This is a bigger stage and these are big men.
Yes, and it's a powerful pack. There's Mark Andrews winning his 32nd cap today. Versatile player, he's played back row and now in his permanent position, it seems, of second row. Ruben Kruger, a fixture in the team, alongside Andre Fenter in the back row. And now we prepare for the South African anthems. Emotion of the occasion is already bubbling over.
Well, if this rugby match matches the emotion here at Kings Park, it's going to be a real classic. So much at stake.
The lights already on. It's been another warm day here in Durban, but of course now with the sun having gone down, it will be a lot cooler for those players and for the referee, Didier Menet of France, an experienced international official now. And Gary Teichmann leading South Africa for the 11th time as he had a more important match. Martin Johnson, his Lions counterpart.
Vital that the Lions kick-off is accurate and they get a good start. 3-0.
So it's Neil Jenkins who gets us underway. It was a disappointing kick-off last week, not so this time from Jenkins, and look at Johnson and Rodber straight up on Andrews. But South Africa come away with Venter. Watch out for this start. The Lions are ready for it. Let's see how they cope. Osduran held by Hill. Kruger. Still Kruger, up over halfway. South Africa trying to hit the Lions with the hammer early on. Van der Westhuizen looks for Hannibal on home turf. He may have overdone that. He has. Jenkins will want it to go dead. But the referee is coming back for a penalty. Offside.
An awesome start by the South African forwards. That's what they wanted to do last week, and that's what the Lions were expecting, but that was powerful play. Teichmann will be delighted with the work of his 8. Lions fringing offside, they're being driven backwards. And in the end, Hannibal's kick was far too long, but it didn't matter. Henry Hannibal starting the kicking. That's a little bit of a surprise. People in South Africa expected Percival Montgomery to be kicking.
That was certainly the word on the street, and it was the information coming out of the South African camp this week. But it's Hannibal to start, and not start particularly well. We also hear that Gary Teichmann has been led away from the field, so an early injury for the South African captain, and Fritz van Heerden of Western Province is waiting to join the action. Good start there from Jenkins. It's a couple of good kicks now. Keith Wood hacks on. Hubert had a shaky game 7 days ago. But that's a confidence-building kick from Andre Hubert. Usually such an elegant and stately fullback. Anything but in Cape Town.
Well, I think this home crowd roared that an extra 10 metres, but a superb strike from Hubert. Inventive stuff from Keith Wood, the hooker, but really all he did was feed the South African fullback and give him plenty of time. Here comes Van Heerden.
Now, will he go to the back row, or will Andrews move into the Teichmann role?
It's just great having the option. They're such talented footballers. Andrews played World Cup finals there. Van Heerden is a very talented back row forward or second row.
Keith Wood to Jeremy Davison. The Irish in tandem again. Townsend to Guscott. Well, how about that for a tackle from Hannibal? Great tackler, of course, the fly half, but it's back on the Lions' side. Dawson.
No.
Lions penalty.
Play on the ground.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just wonder whether
play on the ground.
Monsieur Menet could have played the advantage there. It was good ball for the Lions, a little bit slow, but give them the option. But that defence from South Africa, rigid to say the least.
And you heard there the exchange between Matt Dawson and referee Menet. Dawson wants communication, and that's understandable. Neil Jenkins wanted a good start. He's having one. Playing the ball on the floor was the reason for the penalty.
Yeah, and Fritz van Heerden there, psyched up to the eyeballs, in very hard.
Bigger.
Talking about eyeballs, what a shot that was. Back goes Dawson, held by Venter, must release. Van der Westhuizen doesn't like it. He thought a penalty should have been given, claiming that Dawson was holding onto the ball on the floor. Look at him pointing it out there to the referee. And Dawson certainly knows that he's in a battle again. Played so well last week and scored a marvellous try, but this is South African ball now.
And he will not be happy that Tim Rodber tapped that ball back. It must be clean. This team are fired up.
And Skolbeek getting away from Dawson. Davison went in with a tackle. Kruger. And that's gone forward. So some relief here for the Lions. I think they always knew, Stuart, they would have to weather a storm.
Yes. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, and this one's coming off the Indian Ocean. It's really intense. Kruger is on fire. You can see Van der Westhuizen urging his forwards on. They've been stung by the criticism. This is a crucial 15 minutes. The Lions forwards now must make sure the quality of their ball for their half-backs is good.
Teichmann patched up and ready to go again.
Engage.
The weight advantage just with South Africa then. But it's the way in which the forwards use that weight, and the Lions certainly impressed South Africa with their scrummaging in Cape Town, but they've taken that scrum down.
Collapsing and not bound. Yes.
You can feel a different level of intensity about this South African effort from the early stages. Watch the weight they're putting on there. Real force coming through from that South African front row. This is an important kick for Henry Honourable, though. He hasn't started well. He's overcooked a high ball and quite badly missed one shot at goal. The goal kicking could be so important.
Honourable. That looks better, but it's still not good enough. That's a worrying start for the fly half and the captain. Can ill afford to miss kicks like that in international rugby.
Now it's important that Neil Jenkins keeps up his high standard of restart so the Lions can regain ball and move forward. That's a good kick.
Johnson again, just about the first to arrive. But look at the tenacity of Osdurant. They've gone through and over.
Without the ball, give the ball. Number 3.
And conceded another penalty. Adrian Garvey has been fingered by the referee.
But that was a good kick from Neil Jenkins. A real battle in there. Eyes on the ball and it pops back the Lions side and Garvey comes flying through.
Jenkins making sure of the touch.
A good steady start for Neil Jenkins, and that's important. I would imagine that South Africa will test his credentials as a test fullback today.
Davison, Dawson. Townsend chance to run. In goes Gibbs. Of course he stays on his feet. Richard Hill was there like the good open side. Picked up by Jeremy Guscott. Surely offside, South Africa there. They were yards offside. Lawrence Delalio goes on. Keeps the tempo up. But the penalty goes the other way.
Stay on your feet, please.
And that's exactly what Adrian Garvey did seconds ago. Flying in over the top. The Lions supporters, of which there are many in the stadium, don't like the decision, but at least it was consistent with what had gone before.
Yeah, good charge from Delalio, taking a quick tap. He wants to take the game to them, but two of the forwards, both locked, straight over the top. Adrenaline is so high at the moment, and it's important that when forwards get to break down, they just take that breath and make sure they stay on their feet, because Didier Mene will penalise them. But this has been a brutal start, hasn't it?
And Richard Hill has felt it. He's been pushed so hard by Neil Back, but again, he's got the vote. And like Back, he hasn't put a foot wrong on this tour. Still waiting for our first points. 8 minutes gone. It's South Africa, though, who've had the chances. 2 kicks at goal.
Open the gap.
Richard Hill, he's okay.
Well, you're going to have to be more than 100% today in that Lions pack, because men like Mark Andrews are ready for this.
And this is crucial. Marko Drotsky throwing to the line out, through appallingly last week by his own admission, and Mark Andrews has taken that, and that certainly gives South Africa much more of a platform to play the game that they want to play. Kruger's right in the middle of all of that. They're approaching the 22. Tom Smith's on the wrong side, but the referee decides it's just a scrum. Tom Smith, the Watsonian.
No comment.
You can make a case for Smith being the player of the tour.
I tell you.
Yes, I'm just smiling at your comment, just a scrum. They're more than just scrums at the moment, Miles.
Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal shows it to Van Schalkwyk, but Tijsman missed it.
Knock on.
Just a little bit edgy there, Gary Tijsman, disappointed with himself, but the platform is being set by these South African forwards. The double scissors we've seen so much, but it's between Tijsman and Van der Westhuizen. No one's quite certain where it's meant to be going, and the mistake is made. Lions on the back foot.
Look at that low driving position again from that Lions.
Stay bound, please. Bound. With the arm.
Such a feature of their recovery in the scrum. They started the tour so badly in that department. Townsend getting away, but Van der Westhuizen almost as if he was hunting him on safari, all over his back.
Knock on in the tackle.
And it was so much that the ball was knocked on by Townsend.
Good to see Gregor Townsend selling that dummy, but Van der Westhuizen, the great defending scrum half.
Tijsman on his way. It's gone forward again. There's a couple of handling errors from Tijsman.
First ball. Green the court.
That was a quite vital tackle from Lawrence Dallaglio there.
Yeah.
Exploded from that scrum. Dallaglio made a vital tackle to stop the South African captain.
I tell you, closer.
Those men mean business.
But it's solid again from the Lions and well controlled by Rodber. Now he asks for an extra drive. That's really to make a psychological point more than gain any ground at this stage. Dawson. Hubert. He'll be encouraged to counter. They'll demand it here. They love to see him flowing, Andre Hubert, but Richard Hill was quickly up again.
That kick was too long. You mustn't give them time to build up momentum.
Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal. There is no way through there. Richard Hill proved that last week. Van der Westhuizen came off Johnson, I think, but it won't make touch anyway. Jenkins. Finding Van der Westhuizen in aggressive mood today. Dawson. Townsend. He concentrated hard on that kick. And he's pushed Peter Rousseau almost into touch. But now Tijsman with Guscott and John Bentley there. Rousseau. Hannibal. Well, it's thrilling stuff.
Henry Hannibal restoring sanity, albeit briefly, to Durban. Rousseau there, I felt, actually touched the line. He tries to keep it in. It's very close. You can't really criticise the touch for that, though. Bentley up very fast on Tijsman, but South Africa, positive intent, counter-attacking from deep.
Well, Rousseau realising the importance of the line-out now in the game. Didn't want to take that ball into touch. Dawson with Trotsky.
Play on.
Keith Wood. We'll have to watch it. Just went in there a little bit too aggressively. It's a scrum to the Lions.
Gary Tijsman complaining to the French referee that Dawson held the ball. Once again, there was a bit of the slap about that ball, a little bit of panic. They must give Matt Dawson a chance. You cannot compete against this South African team if you haven't got a rock-solid platform.
13 minutes gone, still 0-0. The only previous Lions-South Africa test match played on this ground at Kings Park finished 3-0. We're hoping for more points than that. 3-0 to South Africa. There's Wood going in. Just don't quite see it. There it is. We do.
Well, I don't think there's too much to worry about there.
No, that was okay.
Well, there is Keith Wood. For me, he might well have been the Lions' man of the match last week. An immense competitor, and he's going to need to be today. Already we've seen Adrian Garvey, so anonymous last week in Cape Town, flying everywhere.
Yeah, we wait for him. We wait for
He's singing echoing around the ground, and it's coming from the Lions supporters. And they'll be encouraged again by this start in the scrum. Dawson, that's meant for Bentley to chase, but Hubert has time, lots of it, and he makes the mark.
Well, unfortunately at the moment, Andre Hubert is being fed by the Lions.
But here, Hubert feeds Dawson, and Dawson has a chance to run in broken play. Fine run from the scrum half. Someone will have to act as scrum half now. Paul Wallace has realised that, so has Delalio. Delalio takes on the responsibility. Out to Robber, as well controlled. It was a difficult ball to take. Bentley clears away, and Fenter goes in over the top.
On your feet.
And Kruger there as well.
You must play on your feet.
Well, the ball came out, and Kruger really has to stay on his feet. Dives over, no attempt to stay on his feet. That's why it's a penalty. And a chance for Neil Jenkins just to settle the Lions. Good scrummaging start to the game. They must settle their line out. And they really must face up to this intense start.
Ian McGeechan and Jim Telfer in the crowd, feeling the atmosphere. Ian McGeechan the other night said that he would expect his players to fight fire with fire, but keep their brains in the fridge. And looking to take advantage of South African indiscipline is Neil Jenkins.
He'll feel at home, won't he? Bread of heaven echoing around Natal. What amazing scenes.
Now, can Jenkins succeed where Hannibal has failed? It's almost from halfway, it's a long way out, but Neil Jenkins has caught it quite beautifully. What a kick! Absolutely fantastic from Jenkins. Just what his side needed. 3-0 the Lions lead. 16 minutes gone.
Well, he spent 1 hour yesterday afternoon here at Kings Park, and every single one of those 60 minutes worth it. What a superb kick.
Delalio's call, taken by Stradham. Durant, and still Durant. It took Wallace and Wood to stop him. Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal. It just sucked in slightly there, the Lions, but they did well to keep their concentration around the fringe. Well played back row. Van der Westhuizen off to Drotsky. And Skolbeck, the centre, goes into an extra weight. This is rampaging from the South Africans. Hannibal, and again the ball goes loose in the tackle. Referee lets it go. He'll surely go back for the scrum now. Jenkins has put it down, don't worry. It'll be a scrum.
Big Oz Durant is spearheading this forward attack, but Hannibal, he felt the weight of one Scott Gibbs. Big hit from the former league man, and that just dislodged that ball. A quite vital challenge from the most physical of Welshmen. Oz eating dirt. It's been on the charge already. Ominous signs for the Lions. They've got to stop that man crossing the game line.
There's Durant against Wallace.
Let's stay down.
Dawson, Townsend. Just like in Cape Town, very little time for the kicker to get it away. Gregor Townsend, we saw him this morning looking relaxed, sitting on the pool deck, reading the paper. You wouldn't have known it was an international day. But he says that he just likes to focus on the technicalities of his play. Doesn't want to get too much involved in all the hype. Is that the fly half's way?
Yeah, he's got to be cold and unemotional. He's got to call the shot. I see Townsend as one of the most influential and critical men of the Lions to achieve a victory today.
Eluding Johnson, and now it's Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal, and Skolbeck switching the line of attack to Hubert. Paul Wallace and Keith Wood.
Stay back.
A pair of hitmen this afternoon going round as a combination. Dawson.
Play on.
Says play on.
Play on. No.
It wasn't a late challenge on Van der Westhuizen. I'm not sure he'll agree.
Well, there's Paul Wallace. What an onus on him today, taking on big Os Durant. He's a tricky scrummager. Here's Van der Westhuizen, that famous little chip. And there you can see he runs straight into Wallace. No penalty there. That was what we call a professional dive.
Drotsky at the Free State. He was well in play when he threw that ball.
Tremendous take from Andrews.
Hannibal. Now it's meant for Sneijman, the winger. And also Montgomery. Jenkins got it. Had to.
That wasn't cool. That was Arctic. I don't know whether Neil Jenkins knew that Percy Montgomery was haring down on him. Every British heart a long way down the throat, not even in the mouth. Clever kick by Hannibal. He wanted it to land there. Jenkins lets it go, but inches in it.
Well, personally, I prefer it in the throat than the mouth if it's going to move. What an intense start to the match. Van der Westhuizen. Again, it's Sneijman putting pressure on Tate. Sneijman, who played on the left wing last week. It's been knocked on. He's certainly seen as a winger by coach Karel Duplessis. Andre Sneijman plays for Northern Transvaal alongside Danny van Schalkbeek in the centre.
Interesting change in South African tactics as well. Far more chips. They're pushing the ball around. They're asking the positional questions of Jenkins, Tate and Bentley.
Don't worry. Yes.
But the Lions have achieved their first objective. They've weathered the first 20 and they're 3 in front.
That's the second time now the Lions front row have been penalised. Paul Wallace said he was pulled down. He wasn't doing the pushing to take the scrum onto its knees.
Well, if I was a South African captain here, I would say to Andre Hubert, put it in the corner and hit Andrews in the line out. And look for the drive from where they scored last week.
See there, the referee indicating that the binding is the problem. Hubert pushing play towards that corner flag, and it's all eyes on Durant, as he will no doubt come round on the peel.
I can see binding slip in there. And once it slips with the pressure coming through, that scrum is always going to collapse. This is pressure for the Lions. They've got to try and take the jumper as he comes down. Don't let them get any momentum.
Andrews looking for Durant. Driven on by the rest of the forwards. Comes back on the South African side. Danger still on here as they look to regroup for another push. Drotsky gives it. Teichmann and Venter tie it in. Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal, have they got the width? Hubert. Great tackling from Guscott and Gibbs. Robert staying on his feet, trying to prevent that ball from coming back. But it's still with the men in green. Garvey. Wallace has fallen on the wrong side. Van der Westhuizen. Amazing defence again from the Lions. They're like a red rash all over South Africa, but Hubert. And their continuity and retention, quite superb. So they get another chance. Venter trying to dig it out. Johnson was preventing him. And the penalty has been given.
Well, the pressure is on. And the Lions, I think, will be delighted if Teichmann actually calls for the kick to goal, because that was attack that stretched them to the limit. Physically, you can see the Lions blowing, and this is a little respite. And after attacks like that, I think they'd almost say, yes, we'll take 3 points against us.
I just saw John Bentley there as we look at Percy Montgomery take over the kicking duties. John Bentley came in off his wing, and man by man he went through the pack, congratulating them on their work and defence. Inspirational character.
Well, that was inspirational defence as well. Quite marvellous from the Lions forwards to sustain the try line there.
Montgomery. this is a problem for South Africa. They've missed 3 now, 2 from Honeyball, 1 from Montgomery, and that never looked like getting across. It was nervous and it was snatched.
Yeah, you've got to say 2 out of the 3 they've missed at this level almost constituted sitters. The Lions should be behind, and that'll give them encouragement. You have to score when you get the possession. The Lions will have their chances. They took them last week.
Andrews up in the air, did he do enough? The answer's no. Townsend getting through here. That's good work from Gregor Townsend. Jeremy Davidson worked with him. Up to the Lions' 10-metre line, and a penalty for hands on the deck.
Good play on the ground.
Tremendous play from Gregor Townsend there. After all that pressure, you'd expected him to fire the ball down, but he comes off his right foot inside Kruger and Honeyball, and he lays off that ball there to Davidson on the charge. Good play from the Lions.
Jenkins looking composed at full-back. Totally unruffled.
Great start for Neil Jenkins. That was a lovely strike. His restarts are excellent at the moment. They're keeping the Lions going forward, and they're taking the heat off the situations when they've been struggling. They're under the cosh, but the main thing is they remain 3-0 in front.
Davidson, as the Lions looked to go attacking, but they missed that. But it was good cleaning up at the base. Dawson lost it. Ball hit the referee.
Sorry, it's a knock-on, only a knock-on. No.
Before he turned his back, he'd seen the knock-on.
Yes.
Not a great throw there. You see Mark Andrews just interfering slightly with Jeremy Davidson. That put him off his stride. Delalio did well to win the ball, but the knock-on was from Keith Wood.
More evidence of Lawrence Delalio, the dogged scrap.
Engage.
Very hard man.
Stay bound. Back.
From the Westhuizen. Hits Hubert. And the curl on the left-footed kick. I've been looking for a little bit more distance than that.
Dave Allred, the Lions kicking coach, would tell you the curl means he hasn't struck that well, and the Lions will be quite happy with that because they've regained possession of the ball. Now Keith Wood must start hitting the line-out jumpers with real precision.
Look at the touch, Judge.
Interestingly, they've cut the line out. Johnson's still part of it, of course.
And the back row runners in midfield, watch out for them.
Goes to Johnson, wasn't clean ball though. The Lions have to sort that out because your own line-out ball is key in this game now. Jenkins comes up, Guska jumps almost as a decoy there to prevent the South Africans from piling through, and it's all worked. Dawson looks for Townsend, can't find him, takes on the kick, but that's straight to Snyman. Picked up by Hubert. The referee's given a penalty back in centre field.
It's all very frantic at the moment, very physical, no space out there at all. Andre Snyman, very hesitant. At the moment, this game is definitely being played in the head. It's a real mental battle and physical battle, and Delalio, he's one of the key men for the Lions. He's one of their most inspirational players.
Jenkins. He's certainly given that enough. Well, this is just the first fight of the day. Later on, it's Holyfield against Tyson, and that's a special pay-per-view event, remember, on Sky Box Office from midnight. And for more information, you can call 0990 800 888. 0990 800 888. Penalty, so it's a Lions throw-in. Wood to Davidson. Has been working so well. And Keith Wood's got it. Penalty.
Collapsing the maul. Collapsing the maul.
As South Africa bring that maul down.
Collapsing the maul.
Really were under pressure there from the Lions pack.
Well, that was the precision that I was talking about earlier. Good throw from Wood. Davidson took it down. And the body positions that Jim Telfer has worked on so hard for so many hours. excellent, and the South Africans with no option but to collapse that drive.
When the ball stops, don't move again. Think about
So winds of pain there from Keith Wood.
Yes,
The Lions won't want to use him. They've got a very useful replacement though in Barry Williams. There is the Welshman. Came out on tour as certainly the number 3 hooker. He was a little bit of a surprise selection, but that wasn't the thoughts of the Lions management team and those who had seen Williams in action. And he's certainly become the number 2. Now Keith Wood wants to stay on.
Do you know, I honestly believe that all the British and Irish keep singing this Welsh hymn, Bread of Heaven. All the rivalries have gone. This is one huge effort, isn't it?
All in this together. It's the beauty of the Lions. And the beauty of this man is that he doesn't miss many. Not the distance of the first kick, but it's a much more testing angle. And if this one goes over, he really is kicking well. Straight through the middle. 6-0. 6 to Jenkins.
Perfect rhythm. Bisects the post. Pythagoras would have been proud of that one.
Rodber. 10 minutes left until the interval, and remember, and we said it last week, the Lions do finish the stronger of the teams on this tour. Hannibal under pressure. Bentley didn't need asking to get up there first, did he? Teichmann staying on his feet, but Tom Smith says, no, I'll have that, thank you. Dawson keeps it in. Richard Hill is all there on his own, though. Now the support arrives. No surprise there that Hill lost out. It was a lonesome task, and Snyman is going after this kick. Jenkins is chasing. Must police this, he does. They look to take the quick one through Montgomery. That's confidence from the new cap. But instead, they settle for the forwards to rumble forward. Good kick from Hannibal.
Brilliant kick. He looked up, there were no men over, and he just drilled out to the corner, didn't want it to go in. And Jenkins with Snyman coming down, no option. The line under siege yet again. What price? Mark Andrews and that big drive.
Well, I don't know where this half has gone. It seems to have flown by. Absorbing rugby, still waiting for our first try. The Lions will look to defend with everything they've got to get here. They look for Andrews. He's got it. Ostirand.
Stay back, number 1.
Van der Westhuizen. It's out to Kruger. Tate tries to hold him up. Did he get it down? The referee's given the try. No, he's not. He's given a penalty. He went over to the try line and put his arm up, but no time to dwell on that. Kruger tries again. Fenter looks and checks. He was a dummy, a decoy. There's a case there for obstruction.
Tim Rodber put a superb low drive-in tackle in.
Trotsky lost it. Durant hasn't. Ostirand just held up. What an effort from the Lions again. I got him, says Lawrence Dallaglio.
And I can't believe what I'm seeing. The power that South Africa are exerting is unbelievable. Van der Westhuizen calling the tunes. Kruger went for the lines. Davidson, Tate, Dawson, 3 that time. And then Durant went. It was Lawrence Dallaglio.
Well, he didn't get that down, did he? But it was a penalty which had already been given. The referee signalled from the point where the try was scored. I think just about the whole of the ground thought that the referee had given the try. Let's just take a closer look. Ooh, goodness.
On the lines out. A good decision, but the Lions still under immense pressure.
Teichmann, Delalio with the tackle. They'll have to do it all again here, the Lions. Hanging on for grim death here. Drotsky, Dawson got him. Play on, play on. They fan out, ready for Van der Westhuizen. Now it is a try. And this man with an amazing scoring record for South Africa. That's his 15th try and his 31st international. But I wager he hasn't enjoyed as many as that.
Well, this one was coming from a long way back. Lovely dummy and dart. And Keith Wood there on hand. But he's on the line and that's over. Makes a yard of space, sells the dummy. Wallace takes it. He's over for the score. He is a predator. So powerful, such low body positions. And you cannot say South Africa did not deserve that. Mark Andrews and Van der Westhuizen fired up.
No, in a way the Lions deserve to hold out because of their immense defence, but you're absolutely right, Stuart. It was a well-deserved try from the home team, but Montgomery has missed the kick, and of course that means, with a shake of the head from the try scorer Van der Westhuizen, he knows the Lions are still in front, 6-5. Let's take a closer look, though, at the try.
How many times have we seen that? Van der Westhuizen from a yard and a half. Deadliest scrum half in the world, but those missed kicks could be vital. It's been all South Africa. They're not making the Lions pay.
But here the Lions in front of the kicker, so it's a scrum back on halfway.
And that is a blow because the restarts have been so good so far. That is loose discipline, and what it does is give South Africa every chance to just build that momentum yet again as we approach half-time. They must hold out now.
Hahnemal. Jenkins steps forward again. Won't have to play it though. And Henry Hahnemal, the fly half, is starting to kick from hand very well indeed.
2 meters.
One-way traffic at the moment. This is a vital 4 minutes. Hahnemal just burying his play. The Lions have the throw.
Davison pushing on after that catch. Dawson. Rousseau waits and Bentley is there. What a tackle. And it's won the penalty.
Not releasing the ball.
A fabulous hit from the Lions' inspiration. Here's the man who made it possible, Dawson.
Delalio out to Guscott. Tried to do it nonchalantly. Got another penalty anyway. For South Africa failing to retreat 10 metres initially. And I would have thought Neil Jenkins will be steaming up from fullback to have a look at this.
I don't know about steaming. I think he might take his time. They've been under tremendous pressure. But talking about pressure, Peter Rousseau, welcome to international rugby. John Bentley, eyes on the ball, then the man, and what a hit. Rocked him backwards, but that was a brilliant kick from Dawson.
Jenkins says no to the kick at goal.
The tackle was good, no danger.
Let's just savour this again. Bentley puts his man on his back. Quite superb, but brilliant play from Matthew Dawson.
Yes, sir. At the end of the line, yeah.
Wood, Davidson, Smith, Wood again. It was a shame, it was just building.
Yeah, a good throw by Wood, and Davidson, who's won a lot of good line out in this first half, gave them the option. Davidson climbing so high, lighter than Simon Shaw. He's easier to lift and it's paying dividends, and there's Tom Smith in, but it was Wood who knocked on.
Van der Westhuizen. Now that will only find Jeremy Guscott. But finding him was Henry Hahnemal, the fly half, who's having a much more effective afternoon, but Guscott digging in with strong legs. Dawson, Townsend. Now Tate's come right in off his wing to chase through the centre, but Hubert, so suspect underneath the high ball in the first test, not that time.
Now, play on, play on, play on.
It's coming back to Van der Westhuizen. Montgomery. He was outside his 22, but it won't matter. And that's the reason why he's clapping, because offside had been given against the Lions.
Offside.
Just wonder what you thought about Neil Jenkins not taking on that kick.
A little bit surprised, but I suppose that he felt kicking for the line out, the Lions would hold territory and they could just take the pace out of the South African game, but it hasn't happened, and Henry Honeyball has fired another long kick down. Closing in on half-time, and it is vital that the Lions do not concede another score. South Africa would go into the half-time break with real momentum, and those men, Telfer and McGeechan, they know it.
Venter down to Van der Westhuizen and Honeyball. We're into injury time. Van Schalkwyk, Teichmann. Joubert wanted it. This is Andre Joubert. Good tackle. Scott Gibbs.
Look on.
A vital tackle from Gibbs. That was a great change of direction from South Africa. Van Schalkwyk very aware. Teichmann, superb inside ball, and Joubert is going at real pace, but Scott Gibbs has got him marked. The Exocet strikes again.
Well, somebody took the handbrake off there for Scott Gibbs. He was out of control.
And he lined up his man with a bit of rhythm, though. I think that handbrake's off for the afternoon.
Stay bound.
No, I wasn't being remotely critical, don't get me wrong. Dawson.
Good scrummage there from the Lions. Excellent control.
You need all the arms.
There's no doubt at all, you know, there's a lot more intensity in this game than last week. I didn't believe I could possibly say that.
I think Delalio gave that penalty. Venter not staying bound.
Unlike Lawrence Delalio to let the referee know that there's a transgression of the laws from an opponent.
Still time for this line out.
47, 46.
It'll be an amazing score, 6-5 at half-time, because South Africa have really dominated this game, but the Lions' defence has been manful.
Bit of pushing there in the line out, I think.
Please.
Jeremy Davison says thank you for the penalty. Mark Andrews.
That's a chat, does Mark Andrews, but he's given the penalty away, and the Lions and Neil Jenkins will be delighted.
Referee checks his watch. That is it. That is half-time. The Lions go to the interval with Neil Jenkins having been one of the stars of this first half. Joos van der Westhuizen with the only try from short range after a long period of pressure from South Africa. So much at stake, you can feel it. High tension here in Durban, but it's the Lions somehow who lead. A magnificent effort in the first half, thanks largely their lead to the boot of Neil Jenkins.
Way at Kings Park in Durban, the Lions leading by 1 point, 6 points to 5. Let's return now to join Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
40 minutes away, the Lions, from a series win here in South Africa for only the second time this century. But what a 40 minutes we have in store. As far as I can see, no changes made by either side at half-time. Dawson and Teichmann. It does look as if he's trying to run off a knock. He's had a hamstring problem, of course, before the series got underway. He also took a blow in the first half. Van der Westhuizen, Honeyball, testing Jenkins here. It was inevitable that these high ones would come at some stage, but the Lions cling on. Tater's lost it. Honeyball's got it. Van Schalkwyk must be Montgomery. That is the worst possible start for the Lions to this second half.
And it came from route one. We knew before the game that Henry Honeyball was going to fire the bombs, and Jenkins, he couldn't handle it. It worked away, but then Tate, a desperate moment as he flicks a ball one-handed, and that's a good pass from Van Schalkwyk. And for Montgomery, who's had a pretty miserable first half, suddenly life is sweet. A debut score.
He's looking for the conversion. Yet to be successful tonight. The South African team with the boot. And that stays the way of things. But Percy Montgomery has added another try, and that will have rocked the Lions back. There's no doubt about that. Jenkins didn't look too convincing there, but Tate was simply surrounded by green jerseys. And as Stuart says, lovely, sympathetic pass out to Montgomery from Van Schalkwyk. And the Lions are behind by 10 points to 6.
Now they've got to do more than defend. The defence has been brilliant. Somehow they've got to keep the ball for long enough against these green-shirted giants to start forcing their own game.
But the parallels to last week just keep on coming. Hannibal with the kick. Jenkins will want to make this one, of course. He's got a lot more time now, and also time to think about a counter-attack. John Bentley getting away, had to. Guska. No space, though, is there? Tigerish tackling from South Africa.
But that was good from the Lions. They've got to be brave, using the ball that's kicked to them. Excellent counter-attacking.
Keith Wood, well, he started kicking. Mistake there between Van der Vestes and Hubert, two of the most experienced players in the South African team. Total breakdown of communication. Hubert seems to be taking the responsibility, apologising.
I can't see how. That's the fullback's ball, except Van der Vesthuizen is there, but that's Hubert's territory. And if he didn't call, that's poor play. Keith Wood shouldn't really have kicked that ball. But this test, it could come down to errors. The Lions have given a try away with an elementary error from Jenkins and Tate, and that's one that gives them a great attacking situation.
Those echoes of last week, by the way. The Lions were leading 7 days ago by a point at half-time. South Africa got the first 2 tries, one in the first half and one towards the start of the second. If it's the same result, then nobody from Britain or Ireland will complain. Townsend, now there's a chance maybe to give Bentley a bit of room. John Bentley, 3 across, they know all about his threat. The leading try scorer on tour, Dawson. Townsend again. This is more like it from the Lions. The kind of adventurous play that we've been getting used to on this tour, and that looks like only a scrum in the end. It was a long and loud blast from the referee.
Gregor Townsend there showing rare signs of anger. It's physical, it's rough and tough in there, and the crowd getting behind the Lions now. That was encouraging, and this is a really good attacking situation. What pressure going on in those scrums. Paul Wallace said his lungs started to burst within 1 minute of the first test. I dread to think what state they're in now. This is about heart and guts.
Rodber. Ball's gone to ground. Oh, that was a good chance. I'm afraid it's been wasted.
I tell you.
Yeah, I thought I'd like to have seen the Lions look to put some width on the game. They haven't given the likes of Gus got a chance yet, and I don't see too much joy coming straight through that South African pack.
Hannibal, resounding thump when he hit the ball, but he hasn't found touch. Neil Jenkins puts up the high one and goes chasing by himself. Teichmann, Van der Vesthuizen loves it to open up. So dangerous, of course, when the game is like that. Going to go the Lions' way, the knock-on.
Teichmann, gentleman off the field, but he is very tight today. This is aggressive, this is hard. Kick too long from Jenkins. Got to be precise because South Africa will charge forward and feed off anything loose.
Stay bound.
Ruben Kruger is being watched by the referee, as is Teichmann. They have to stay bound now, of course. Tim Rodber crossing the gain line, supported by Delalio. Dawson. Just couldn't get the ball away, but he's retained it. Wood to Townsend. Scott Gibbs on the charge. Oh, look at him go! What a run by Scott Gibbs! Davidson. Well, if ever a player made a point, it was Scott Gibbs then, and it's a penalty to the Lions.
The tackler, number 4,
Oz
the
Durant
tackler playing
is
on the ground.
on the floor. Can't believe that. Big Oz, the hard man of South African rugby, put on his backside. Gibbs on the scissors, and he just looks for Durant. He spins through the tackle, and great support from Davidson. And the Lions now have a chance to get within 1 point.
Well, the Ox met his match there. His name is Gibbs. An explosive run. And this is simple for Jenkins, if anything is simple in this environment. To bring the Lions back to within 1 point. Yes.
And that's a sharp riposte from the British and Irish Lions. They finally kept some ball, and they attacked well, asking questions. Well, Peter Durant might be the Ox, but Scott Gibbs, well, Jeremy Guscott calls him the kitchen sink. You throw everything at a team, and then comes Gibbs, boom.
Jerry Guscott also called him the fastest prop in the world.
Not to his face.
You saw there, Van Heerden is waiting. He's already been on once.
I tell you.
Van Heerden, Gary Tyson was the man who went off before, but it's been adjudged to be a knock-on, and quite right.
Off Richard Hill, that was a tremendous kick-off.
The fine balance of this Test series continues. Hannibal. It was always going to happen. Another one on Tate and Jenkins, and they really have got to sort this out. Hannibal. Drotsky. Kruger. The alarm's gone off again here for the Lions. Van der Westhuizen. Drotsky, Kruger. The crowd are totally tangled in this web of a match. There's Durant. Drotsky. Hubert, Hannibal. Almost through. Referee's given a penalty because again, and it's a recurring theme, South Africa unable to stay on their feet and just flying over the top.
What tackling here. Delalio just stops his man. Montgomery in his tracks. Brilliant heroic stuff there. But South Africa, they're using the boot, and the Lions are struggling against it. Relief for Neil Jenkins and the Lions, but he is now being fingered as an area of exploitation, as is Alan Tate. Let's not forget, he's not a wing by nature.
Well, they've just had a long conversation there, the two of them, Jenkins and Tate. They've got to find a solution in the white-hot atmosphere out there. Reuben Kruger down on the floor, having a stretch.
Please.
And he's off, I think, yeah. Van Heerden is to return to the field.
Well, that's a blow for the South Africans, because Reuben Kruger has been pretty near his bullock in best. Powerful man, the pack are giving him a chance to run second phases. He's doing it very well.
Good take from Johnson at the front. Dawson shouts the orders as they look to inch their way up towards halfway. Delalio, did you see the effort in his eyes there? Dawson, Townsend, Bentley. They've earmarked John Bentley as a danger, and they've driven him back. Is just in danger of spilling over.
Well, that was a real dream wall of defence.
Only a tackle.
Offensive defence, that was it. South Africa driving low and hard.
A disappointed Ruben Kruger. I think his match is over.
Unbelievable defence here. Andre Venter, one of the biggest open sides in world rugby, pumping those legs. Mark Andrews, immense effort. And that's one of the problems. You could see Andrews with his arm around Richard Hill and a little swing and dig. And Bentley's tour so far, but that was not his moment, was it?
Jeremy Davidson. This doesn't look too good for him. And I suppose, well, we know the option would be for Tim Rodber to move up into the second row and Eric Miller to come on into the back row at number 8.
Well, the Lions have made a gamble, haven't they, going 4-2 without a lock. I don't think they want Rodber moving into the cauldron of the second row quite yet. But I do think at some stage they're going to want to introduce the dynamic qualities of Eric Miller.
Rodber trying to get there, and Johnson ripping his way through. Delalio straight at the heart of Hannibal. Dawson. Townsend looks for Guscott, and Guscott giving the ball away there in the tackle.
First one.
And the first knock-on was from the centre.
It's a little bit hesitant though. In midweek, Mike Catt was firing those balls out very early. It's already gone by now. Townsend, he looks for space, and really when he gives it to Guscott, there's nothing on.
Yes.
I do feel Gregor Townsend's got to put more width on the ball when he gets it. Got to stretch this South African pack, get them moving around. Lions' fitness not in question. The South Africans is. They've got to give themselves a chance to exploit them in the last 20.
Van der Westhuizen, Hannibal, Van Schalkwyk, Teichmann. A lot more purpose about the South African play this week. Van Schalkwyk, Trotsky, running at Tate, who was bundled down. Now it's Garvey in there. Van der Westhuizen again. Hannibal, they're lining up and looking hungry. Venter. Can they keep the ball? Chance here. Hannibal. Out to Hubert. Andre Hubert. He's all the way. Problems. Big problems now.
Andre Hubert, the villain of the piece for every South African last week, turns hero. Change of pace. John Bentley, this time he's fended off with a left hand. Jenkins can't hit him hard enough. A supreme finish. It starts with Venter going through Townsend. Gibbs comes in with a tackle, but by then the danger bells are ringing because they're through the gain line. And Hubert, change of pace, strong fend, and he's over for the try.
But he hasn't kicked the conversion, and they can't find a goal kicker today, South Africa, and this is the reason why they're not out of sight yet. But Hubert has got their third try.
Well, you've got to say that that is a mistake from the Lions. John Bentley had him lined up. He wasn't going at pace when he took the ball. He really should have nailed his man there. And now the Lions under pressure. And I feel quite soon they're going to have to start thinking about Miller or back, possibly both. They've got to hit back with the ball in hand positively. They're not going to win by defending.
Certainly, the match is being played on South African terms so far. The Lions have got to wrestle the initiative somehow. Jenkins needs a calm spell now. Still 25 minutes to go, and they're still in touch. The gap is 6 points. Trying a conversion would take them in the lead, therefore, and they've got the put into the scrum.
But they've got to do something to change the momentum and the pace of this game. It's going South Africa's way. 6 points is not a reflection of their real superiority. There's Eric Miller. I would bring him into action sooner rather than later. If they leave it too late, this game might just drift away from them.
Townsend needs a good break with the bounce here. Hasn't got it.
at least it's not going dead.
Bonnabal looks to move it. Townsend had gone back to cover. Keeps it low and makes sure. And Neil Back is about to come on. The Lions are making the change at open side. Back, who's played beautifully right the way through the tour, gets his chance.
Well, he's been the creative force behind the midweek team. This is the moment he has waited for all his career. Can he do it when it matters most?
I saw him in the lip yesterday and he said, there's no point me being on the bench unless they were going to use me. Now, who's involved here? Martin Johnson, the captain. The penalty's been given for a bit of levering at the line-out. Dennis Stratham. Who's tackling Johnson.
When I whistle, you stop. Stop! Hey, after the whistle.
Stratham interfered with by Johnson there, no doubt at all. Good decision from the referee. They've been so brave all tour. We said it in Cape Town, they defended well, then they had to really open up their attacking arsenal. Now they've got to do that. There's Johnson, he's taken Stratham off the ball. I have no complaints about that decision.
Trotsky, so criticised last week for his inability to throw effectively at the line-out. He's picked out his men today. Van der Westhuizen, that little chip is dangerous always, but Jenkins is there.
Too long that time.
And Jenkins looking to run. And now he's elected to kick. He really had to find touch. Hubert to run it back. Scott Gibbs. The Lions are a little rattled here. Townsend. But there'd been a knock on. I think it was Matt Dawson at the base there.
Well, they're putting themselves under undue pressure. That was a bad decision by Neil Jenkins to kick there, and there goes the kitchen sink. He lays the ball back well, but Dawson just fumbled it. The pressure is mounting. Good decision to bring Neil back on, I feel, though. Could just provide the spark, but you can see the power coming through from South Africa.
Teichmann. Gibbs threw himself in. Andrews did as well. Van der Westhuizen. Fritz van Heerden felt that. But they're retaining that ball now. It's incessant pressure. The Lions have got it, stolen it. Jenkins.
There's knock on.
Neil Jenkins looking very rattled at the moment. It's a pity from the Lions' point of view because their defence was quite amazing there. They're tackling so hard around the fringes, but South Africa are keeping the ball, they're keeping the momentum. And by kicking the ball to touch, they can just attack again. And the Geekin and Telfort looking worried, and at the moment, with very good reason.
They really can't afford to concede another score. We're halfway through this second half. Andrews. Drive is good. Look at it go. On the way towards that line, South Africa. Van der Westhuizen, Teichmann, the captain.
Stay back.
Stratham goes in, Van der Westhuizen, but the tiniest of knock-ons. It's cost South Africa dear there because Joost van der Westhuizen was certainly ready to snipe again.
You know, we said before the first test that the Lions should kick the ball dead as little as possible because the South African line-out, when it functions as their source of attack, Andrews soaring there, and the dynamism and sheer power, well, you won't see that anywhere in the world, and I include New Zealand. They are brutal when they're in the mood and going forward. Back into Lalio, well, and not too bad going backwards.
Still, the Lion supporters try and raise their side's morale. If we're in Spain, we we'd be in a bull ring.
Both sides.
The referee wants to check the binding on that far side. The Lions just want to get this ball away.
Stay bound.
Robber trying to provide the protection as Van der Westhuizen looks to strike. Dawson. He normally likes to kick those himself. But Fenta had broken off that scrum. Just a bit too eager, Andre Fenta.
They can smell blood though, can't they? Fenta very fast through. Van der Westhuizen on the other side. The Lions under pressure. Just a fraction. A tiny fraction.
Interesting stopwatch the referee's got. That was a millisecond, wasn't it? 15-9 it remains. And while it stays like that, the Lions have a shot. There's no doubt about that. They're threatening from deep. They've run in some marvellous tries on this tour, 45 to be exact. Can they just find another in the second test?
They have taken a real battering, and I wonder whether their fitness will be quite the same. And South Africa have applied so much pressure. It hurts the lungs, it hurts the muscles. The Lions will be suffering. It's been heroic to stay this close, because South Africa have dominated this match. And, you know, there's Neil Jenkins. He's kicked his goals for the Lions. If South Africa had had a Neil Jenkins, they would be out of sight by now.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? We can't delude ourselves. If South Africa kicked the goals, then it would be no contest now.
The Lions pack, they've performed with great courage. And there's some dangerous play by Van Heerden. He's pulling the leg of Tom Smith. Cannot do that.
Dawson, Townsend, Gibbs looking for back. He will now be such an important link, Neil, back as the Lions look to expand. Townsend straight to Snyman, and that was a knock-on. I don't think the home supporters think in the same way as the referee.
Well, someone told me that Kings Park, Durban is the party test ground where everything's sweetness and light. It's not here. We're entering a netherworld at times. This is tough. That's how tough this one is. Scott Gibbs suffering.
He looks more than a little woozy, Scott Gibbs. And if it's a head injury, Mike Catt is covering a number of positions on the bench, full-back, fly half and centre. If it's a head injury, the medical staff, Dr. James Robson was there. He saw he will not want to take any risks. And he must be happy for Gibbs to stay on. He wouldn't do anything silly even on a day like this.
I agree.
Very professional medic, and the Lions have enjoyed his presence again.
Mind you, I wouldn't want to tell Scott Gibbs to go off in this cauldron.
Penalty has been given.
Stay bound, please.
The problem of failing to stay bound at the scrum.
Hold the end.
And 15 minutes left on the clock. Neil Jenkins.
I tell him.
Comes up.
Only the end. You see on TV. Only the end.
The Lions have been given twice as many penalties as South Africa.
Well, discipline has been a key word in the Lions tour. It's an excellent effort on the back foot to concede only 8 penalties after 65 minutes of this intensity. This is a big kick for Jenkins, though. He's had a shaky 15-20 minutes. Can he regain his composure?
Jenkins blotting out all the noise. Oh, it's stayed right. No, it's just curled back in. What a close kick. And what a relief.
I think it was the captain, Gary Teichmann, there, who just slipped off too early. 3 points in it.
I should never have doubted Neil Jenkins. And Skultvake.
Stay back! Back!
And the Westhuizen.
Back! Back!
Teichmann. Hannibal. Montgomery.
Play on!
Percy Montgomery. Looked good on his debut.
Stay back!
Van der Westhuizen. Hannibal. Take goes back. Cross comes Jenkins. It's done well again.
Andre Snyman was absolutely flying there. I thought Jenkins was going to reach that with 5 metres to spare.
Now Gregor Townsend wanted to be allowed to go on there, but a substitution was taking place. David Taron has come on for Adrian Garvey, and that's why the referee called it back. Tough luck there on Townsend.
Well, Adrian Garvey, he's played a big game today, given everything for 70 minutes, and now they've got a fresh man on in David Taron, and he is a quite fearsome scrummager.
3 points in it, 12 minutes to go. From the Westhuizen, Hannibal, Kenta.
Hunted by Delalio there.
Knocked on by Brodsky.
Well, Nakadrotsky's had a much better game with his throwing and his running around the field today, but that was an elementary error. Well, the Lions' defence was solid again, wasn't it?
They've shown great fortitude right the way through the tour, but especially in the test matches. When they've needed to be on their mettle, they have been.
But now we need Townsend or Guscott the Wizard to do something. Who knows? Maybe even Matthew Dawson.
About this time last week when the Lions really started motoring. Townsend, I think that just may have been half charged down, the reason for the ball not travelling as far as Townsend wanted. Going back for a knock-on. Just remind you tonight, it's Holyfield against Tyson, special pay-per-view event, and it's from midnight on Sky Box Office. And for more information, the number to call is 0990 800 888. The number again, 0990 800 888. Dawson. Shaped to pass to Bentley, but he knew there was very little space out there.
And in front for Nolan. Offside.
But the man in an offside position in front of Dawson carrying the ball. Accidental, but a scrum nevertheless.
The problem there, the Lions scrum just going backwards. Rodber gets it away, and Dawson chooses the channel where there was no room. They've got to put more width on this game.
Hannibal's kick, is that too far? No, it's not. It's beautifully judged. Much better effort from him today.
Yeah, it was about this stage last week, wasn't it, that he put one out on the full. That time just a metre in it. South Africa still surging forward.
The Lions where they don't want to be, inside their own 22. Johnson. They have to keep telling themselves, the Lions, and I'm sure they are, that there's only 3 points the difference, and the maul is being collapsed. Beautifully illustrated by the referee.
No real angle for Neil Jenkins, but he must find his touch here. Really, he does need to find some distance as well.
Well, he's done well.
Lions forwards, battling to the end. Scrum pulled down by a South African pack. It has dominated, but crucially given a lot of penalties away.
Less than 9 minutes left then. There will be a bit of injury time. Townsend missed out. Gibbs giving it to Gusker. Tate. Alan Tate getting away. Percy Montgomery with the tackle. It was a desperate effort from Montgomery because Tate was really increasing his pace. Bentley's come right across, so there's no right winger at the moment. Townsend gives it to Robber, who keeps it tight. Delalio on to Townsend. Now it's poor Wallace. It did just need John Bentley to be out there. But now the Lions regroup. Townsend again. Jenkins. A game effort to keep the ball alive. Nice smile there from Matt Dawson in the heat of the battle.
No knock on for the Reds.
The ball was knocked on, so the Lions still have a chance.
But this illustrates what I was saying. The Lions stretched their defence by going wide early from Townsend. And Wallace, it's a pity Bentley wasn't on there, but he did well. But that's the key. They have got to get wide. Percy Montgomery is not experienced at this level. They've got to test him, ask questions of Joubert defensively. They must keep playing that way now.
Townsend. Bentley on the crash ball. Still Lions ball. Dawson. Townsend. Delalio. Keith Wood goes in. That's gone forward again. It was a knock-on, but the referee has given a penalty for hands on the deck. Now that must have come before Wood's knock-on. And this, if it were to go over, would level the scores at 15-all.
Lawrence Delalio there has got through an enormous amount of work. He's getting up slowly, but he's had a tremendous game. Townsend dancing inside to Delalio, who's been everywhere. Teichmann accused. It's a tough call. Van der Westhuizen furious.
Neil Jenkins, the first Pontypridd player to be a Lion for 42 years. Russell Robbins had that honour, and now Neil Jenkins, with everybody back home on their knees, hoping and praying that he can just find one more fantastic kick. He has.
The Dragons flying in Kings Park. South Africa must be asking questions now, though. They must be saying, how can we be level when we've dominated this game?
Well, they are level, and now, what character. What a test for both sides. Wood takes it on. Dawson, the Lions are going to try and win it. It's the only way that they've played. It's the only way they know. It's refreshing.
That was a bad decision from Gregor Townsend there. Should have moved it.
Bentley coming across the field, but will Noel straighten the line? John Bentley couldn't get away from Teichmann, but he's found Tate. Tate going on. Gusker there to make the tackle on Hannibal. Now the Lions don't want to concede a penalty. And they've got the ball. Keith Wood with a chip. And Wood is going. Look at him. Percy Montgomery with Wood breathing down his neck. Where did he find the reserves?
Keith Wood has really epitomised the Lions. They've been outplayed in most ways, but in spirit they have been brilliant. The morale in this camp is high. Mike Catt warming up.
Austin Healy's looking to come on as well. I think Alan Tate has pulled up with a muscle strain, so Healy goes into his old position of wing. Now there's been one drop goal on this tour, scored by Gregor Townsend on this ground. Just wonder if that's going through the mind of the Lions players. Neil Back's in there. Well, they're not thinking about a drop goal at the moment, are they? Driving for that line. and Dawson can see it. Taken by Townsend, taken very flat. Dangerous run from him.
Play on! Play on!
Dawson, have they got the self-belief? It's Guscot's drop! It's there! Jerry Guscott did go for the drop goal.
When Guscott is quiet, at your peril. He's done nothing. The Lions have rarely used him, but he's calm, he's cool. He tried it last week. He's fired it through. The Lions lead against all the odds. Stunning.
Eric Miller has come on for Tim Rodber. 18-15, 3 minutes left. The Lions are 3 minutes away from winning a series in South Africa. Dawson, Townsend. South African ball. They never believe it's over.
The Lions must keep playing. Their defence has been brilliant, but the South African line-out can cause all sorts of problems, and they'll want the try.
Andrews with the take. That set of forwards from South Africa looking to do the basics good, but also find another gear somehow at the end of the game. Hannibal, Hubert, Scott Gibbs knocks the ball out of his hand. How many more tackles does Scott Gibbs have left in his wardrobe?
He's turned it over. That's the tackle of his career.
Got to go back for the first knock on.
Knock on! Of the
We haven't, I don't think.
Yeah.
Come on, referee, indicate what's happening. Dawson's hurt. Remember, Austin Healy's already on the field.
Well, that was an immense hit from Gibbs. Lifted the crowd, but they've still got an onslaught to come. 1 minute left.
I think that ball was adjudged to go back from the tackle, so Dawson's knock on.
Here. Again.
And South African to put into the scrum. 1 minute plus injury time.
They conceded just 8 penalties, I believe, having faced 79 minutes of intense pressure, and that will be the reason they win this series if they hold out.
Teichmann tripped over by Dawson, who's feeling an injury, there's no doubt about that.
Play on! Play on! Play on!
Hannibal, Jenkins again. Come on, Neil. He's missed it. We're in injury time. The Lions must try and get this. They're going to. Gibbs. That has not found touch. Hubert. Total mayhem here. Hannibal cutting through. It's Mark Andrews. Delalio's tackle. Van der Westhuizen. Rousseau. One more supreme effort required from the Lions. Van der Westhuizen. Hannibal. He's lost it. He's knocked on. Jenkins. Healy. Guscott. Oh.
What defence. Healy, when that ball broke loose, was quite amazing. And Delalio and Gibbs, I don't know if I've ever seen defence quite like it from a British team. Hannibal's threatening, but back does just enough. Ball pops out, and the Lions escaped.
And there were men waiting, and Hannibal Didn't use them outside. Here he goes again. Inside that 22. Van der Westhuizen, Van Heerden, Keith Wood with the tackle, but it's still South African ball.
Back.
Johnson in.
Back. Play on.
Ostirant. Wood is down and hurt. Hannibal's kick. Jenkins goes across. John Bentley's trying to get there. It's Lil Jenkins.
This has been a rear guard effort. They've been on the ropes for 80, but South Africa have not taken their chances. The Lions, barely a sniff of a try, but they've kicked their goals, and then there's that Guscott drop goal.
What was Austin Healey doing there? He's trying to take a quick one.
I think he was trying to waste a little bit of time. There are the heroes, Guscott, Jenkins, and maybe most of all, Scott Gibbs.
We go deeper and deeper into injury time. Jenkins has put this out. The referee's whistle goes though for the end of the match. Rugby history has been made. The Lions have won the series in South Africa for only the second time this century. The 97 squad, who have refused to talk about 74 all the time they've been out here, will now be mentioned in the same breath. This is a truly great rugby achievement.
Well, in 1974 they came on the back of a series win in New Zealand. This team came with no hope, according to just about everyone. But McGeechan, Cotton and Telfer believed in it. They've been positive, they've been brave, and today they have been quite heroic. A wonderful day for British rugby and for all of these Lions. A tremendous achievement.
4 nations have come together and they've conquered here in South Africa. John Bentley, the epitome of the tremendous spirit both on and off the field. Alan Tate, who scored that try right at the death in the first test match. No tries today, but a combination of Jenkins' boot and that Jerry Guscott drop goal will send these Lion supporters partying all night in Durban. Guscott knows that he has a moment to cherish. He's got many more in his career, but that really will be right at the top. Martin Johnson, the victorious skipper. The Lions have come here, they've beaten the world champions 2-0. They will go to Ellis Park, Johannesburg, looking for a clean sweep. Who would have thought it?
Stunning scenes. Quite amazing, isn't it? Guscott has been so quiet for both test matches, but I spoke to him and he said, I've done most things in rugby what I would give to be in a winning Lions series in South Africa. Jeremy Guscott, the man they talk of in awe here, when it mattered most, has done it again.
Final score, and it's beautiful to say it. South Africa 15, the Lions 18.
Have you ever seen a more dramatic finale to any international? Quite wonderful pictures coming to you from Kings Park in Durban. Against all the odds, the Lions have done it, and these are terrific emotional scenes. Who would have thought that the Lions could pull off a quite outstanding victory against all the odds, as I say? Phil de Glanville and Dowie Morris are watching this with me. Boys, have you ever seen a game like that? Dowie?
I can't speak, basically. My heart goes out to all the lads who've played, because they've played with their heart today. They were under the cosh. You know, South African kickers win on when you take your chances when it happened, and I just wish I was I wish I was in Durban tonight, because they deserve it.
Well, you've got the old Dampeyes again, and I think there's no doubt these are emotional moments, and quite rightly. I mean, look at the smiles on Ian McGeechan's face, Jerry Guscott's face. Phil, that was outstanding, and Jerry Guscott, I mean, what a way to pull off the move that won the game.
Fantastic. I mean, he practices those in training really not expecting to use them in the game. I mean, how that practice paid off today. I mean, that was a magic moment. But the defensive effort by the whole team was outstanding. And particularly, I mean, we don't like singling out individuals, but Lawrence Delaglio was magnificent. Everywhere.
He was my man
everywhere
as well, Lawrence. Big hug. I think he's actually winded Jerry there, Frank Cotton hugging Guscott.
These are quite superb scenes, and I mean, the Lions quite rightly enjoying every moment. This is something that they'll go into the history books for, Derek.
Well, I did send a fax to Martin Johnson saying you're 80 minutes away from immortality, and then you will be God, because every time I played against him this year I've called him God, and he deserves it today. But look at all the squads out there, they deserve it totally. And of all the people to do it, the coolest customer. I don't think he's ever experienced anything like this. I know you were in '89 with New Zealand, out in Australia, and they won the series out there. But I think this has got to top it.
Phil, talk about being under the cosh and then really just
the pressure they were under for the whole game. I mean, right to that last little kick that they put over, that Austin Healey scampered back and covered. I mean, the work rate was phenomenal. I mean, those guys will be absolutely exhausted because they tackled all day long.
Every man a hero, there's no doubt about that.
Every man a hero. And the referee, my doubts about him before, but he was fair both sides. He refed as it should be refed, but brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
South Africa really couldn't have given more. I know there were one or two unforced errors that crept into the game, but they put in such a huge effort, didn't they?
They did. They tried everything. To be honest, I mean, they should have been well ahead. Obviously, with the kickers, we've talked about that. They missed 4 kicks in the first half. I don't know how many they missed in the second half. It doesn't matter now. They should have been well ahead and buried, but that's what makes rugby the great game. You take your chances when they arise, and look at that. Peach, you deserve it. He's come out, like we've talked a million times. They wanted to play this game. Maybe a couple of times today, Gregor, a bit critical of Gregor, he was just trying to run it and unfortunately turning the ball over, giving it back to the South Africans. But we just hit him. We hit him with everything. The offensive line was there. Scotty Gibbs again. Some of the hits he put in, and it just lifts your tired 8 forwards. And
the physical effort that these Lions have put in today, Phil, is just unimaginable, isn't it? I mean, how they've come through and survived, goodness only knows.
Well, I mean, it's it goes beyond physical. I mean, it's the mental aspect of it. I mean, they're just hanging in there. That last 10 or 15 minutes, you talk about running on empty. They were running on empty, and it's just down to heart then. And, just a wonderful effort. I think it's going to be a quiet night tonight.
I don't think when it comes down to it, it's the first professional Lions, but they've played today and showed what it means to pull their shirt on. And this the man. I don't think he liked the try that got scored against him, but he's been.
Is he enjoying it or what?
John. Top boy. Pinching himself. He deserves everything, and I think even Mr. Telfer will probably give him a few beers tonight.
I'm sure he will. We can now hear from one of the heroes, the man who had a huge game, Lawrence Delaglio. He's with our reporter, Graham Simmons.
David, thank you very much indeed. Yes, Jerry Guscott's just walked in the back singing as well. Lawrence Delaglio, congratulations, you have a place in history.
Oh, sensational effort, and it was, the whole squad really was fantastic effort. I mean, we knew they were going to come at us right from the start, and they did that. And to be fair to them, they scored 3 tries, but we just hung on in there, tried to play, and kicked our goals.
You were under the cosh, Lowell, for so long in that game. Can you quite believe you've come out with a win?
Oh, it's just fantastic. I mean, there was a period where I think we were under pressure for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, and we couldn't get out our half, and they just had us pinned in, but we just kept tackling, kept believing, and as soon as we got up there, they gave away a penalty, and Neil Jenkins kicked them all.
The defence today, I mean you particularly, but the defence generally was outstanding.
Well, that was a key point from the test win last week, and we sort of set our standards last week, and it was fantastic today. A bit disappointing we couldn't play too much rugby and get some tries on the board, but it's 2-0. They don't come much bigger than this, beating South Africa at home.
Well, Jerry Guscott, I know this is the one thing you wanted to put on your CV, and and look at you can hardly believe it.
I can't believe it. It's to come here and win 2-0, win the series. I mean, in '74, that's all we had put into our minds. You've got to emulate them. We've lost one game, but hopefully we can go on and win the next one. But I mean, you just got to soak out this atmosphere. It's a lifetime memory, that's for sure.
Trust you as well. Trust you to come on at the end and steal the glory. Was it always in your mind?
No, that's the furthest thing from my mind, to win the series with a drop goal. But if it has to be me, it has to be me, and I'm not disappointed about it. I'm very, very happy.
What I meant was that at the time when that ball was coming back to you, Jerry, I mean, mean, was that an instinctive, spontaneous thing, or were you thinking, hang on, this may be the only way of getting over here?
Definitely. That's the only thing I could do. I was looking around for Gregor, but he was nowhere to be seen. Dorse looked up, saw me. The panic in his eyes was, you know, you could see it. He gave it to me sweetly, and I struck it, and it just sailed between the posts. It's just great.
We talked about it all before the lead-up to the match, about South Africa and their Route 1 and how predictable they were, and they were again, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, lots of sides buckle under that kind of pressure, but I mean, we're such a solid squad. I mean, the performance on Tuesday against Orange Free State was unbelievable. I think that gave us the inspiration to try and play rugby, but we couldn't quite break out into the free-flowing rugby that we showed all through this tour. But, you know, we've got to be happy with those kicks to win a test series.
And Lawrence, just coming back to you, what are you, 25, 26? You're doing it all very early. What's going to beat this?
24, steady, 24. It's just fantastic. I mean, you know, I said that when I got selected for the Lions, it's the most fantastic achievement for anyone in their rugby career to come out here and win. Having had it rammed down our throats about how good South Africa were week in, week out, they still don't give us well, perhaps they will now.
Terrific, guys. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Well played. Graham Simmons, our reporter there.
Captain with his scary tie.
We've got a wonderful moment at Kings Park in Durban. The 1997 British Lions have done it. They've beaten South Africa. They're 2-0 up in the series, and it's really thanks to this moment of magic from Jerry Guscott. Stay with us. We'll be back for more. Two world heavyweight title fights on Sky tonight. First up at 9 on Sky Sports 2. Britain's Herbie Hyde taking on Tony Tucker for the vacant WBO title. And that's followed at midnight by the big one, Holyfield against Tyson. It's a special pay-per-view event on Sky Box Office. You can get more information on that by calling 0990 800 888. That's 0990 800 888. Meanwhile, at Kings Park in Durban, these celebrations continue after the Lions' historic win. These are great pictures from South Africa, the supporters quite rightly enjoying the moment. John Bentley, what a tour it's been for him. Outstanding performance from the Lions overall. They really have deserved what they've got today. They hung on in there and they pulled off against the odds a brilliant victory. This is the full-time score line, 18 points to 15, the Lions have done it. The drop goal from Jerry Guscott just near the end, the difference between the sides in the end. The rest of the points for the Lions coming from the boot of Neil Jenkins. But these, if you take in these match facts, perhaps give you an idea as to where the game swung. 15 handling errors for the Springboks, 18 penalties in all for them, and look at that kicking ratio, a disaster for the Springboks, but a 100% record for Neil Jenkins with those kicks. Well, Martin Johnson, the victorious Lions captain, he'll now be satisfied, no doubt, but not completely. They're 2-0 up. Let's find out what he thinks now. He's with Graham Simmons.
Well, David, I'm not entirely sure what Martin Johnson knows what Martin Johnson thinks at the moment. He's a little bit speechless. But you have a place in history, Martin Johnson, alongside Willie John McBride. That's not a bad testimony.
No, it's just credit to 35 players and the lads who were left behind. It's just brilliant. You know, can't believe it.
I know you're an emotional guy, Martin. I know this means, this means so much to you, especially since some of the stick the team took before you left and when you were first out here.
Yeah, no one gave us a chance, did they? No one gave us a chance. And we got here and played a couple of games and we were hot and cold and everyone said we were there for the taking. It's 2-0 to us. And it's just fantastic. You know, and if Rob and Doddy and the boys are at home watching, credit to you as well.
It was a defensive performance to really write home about. I mean, unbelievable, outstanding defence from all the team.
They came at us tough, and we had to tackle. And at times we only just held them out, and at times, they scored 2 or 3 tries, and we had to bounce back from each of those. And the crowd got behind them, and they played with a lot of pride, as the South African teams do. And it was a hell of an effort. And we knew if we got close, 10 minutes to go, we'd win. And we had that belief, and we just about pulled it off.
What were you saying to the guys at half-time and in the course of that second half when things were looking dire and dicey for you, Martin?
We just had to play, We just kept making mistakes, and that was frustrating because we didn't play with the ball. And they defended well. They put pressure on us more than the provincial teams did, and they knocked us out of a stride a little bit, and we knocked balls on and we dropped the balls, and we didn't really get into a pattern. And we felt if we played rugby we could stretch them, but we never really did in the second half, and we just had to get attacks and they get penalties away, and we kicked them obviously, and when we defended we didn't give penalties away mainly, and that was probably the difference.
You said to me last week after the Newlands game, you said, hang on a second, we've only won one game, let's celebrate when we've won the series. Well, you have now won the series, so what's happening tonight?
There's going to be a bit of a party, I think, in Durban, but no, it's just fantastic, and they, the players, the management, everyone involved with the Lions deserve it. Absolutely fantastic.
Many congratulations. Well done, Martin.
These are emotional moments for the Lions captain, Martin Johnson. He's a big, huge, impassive fella. Normally, Dowie, have you ever seen emotion like that from him?
Never in my life. I've been lucky enough to play with him and against him, but I think he may go in that changing room and totally break down, because you imagine what he's had to put up with us last week, and like he said, no one gave him a chance. All the adrenaline's now pumped through, all the doubts, all the... you know, he's actually choking tears. I've never seen it, but you know, what a leader. He's gone out and he's proved it, and they're 2-0 up. They won the series.
And we can now hear from another man who's had a terrific series. You know, it was a fairy tale really to be in the team today, but now that they've won, it's even better. John Bentley, of course, I'm talking about. He too is with Graham.
Well, John Bentley, we saw in glorious Technicolor your run across the pitch at the end of that game. Where were you going? What was on your mind?
The final whistle of that game went, and I had so many things to do at once. I had to congratulate the opposition, the Springboks, and shake hands and commiserate them. There was 34 members of our squad, there was the management, and there was about 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 supporters gathered in the stand, and I wanted to grab all of them, and all of them. And at the same time, I wanted to rush home and give my wife, Sandy, a big squeeze and the children a kiss, and all the people sat in the clubhouse at Cleckheaton. I know they're all sat there, they'll be all going barmy, and they'll be having a big drink tonight, but they'll have a drink with us tonight, and it was fantastic.
I tell you what, the Dr. James Robson's going to have a look at Ian McGeechan's ribs after the squeeze you gave him on the touchline there.
He's worked fantastically hard, and we gathered 7 weeks ago in a little room in Birmingham, in Weybridge, sorry, and there were 47 of us, 12 management, 35 players, and we believed we were coming out here, we cleared the air, we were coming out here to win the Test series. There were only ourselves in that room and our closest families who believed that would happen. There was all the doubters back home, and understandably we're playing against the world champions out here. But we believed, and as the toast progressed, and this lot have gathered, the Barmy Army out here and shouted for us, it's become a possibility, and today it's reality. And I tell you now, nobody will ever, ever take that away from us.
Briefly and finally, John, we spoke a couple of days ago and you said if you win the second test, we might not turn up for the third. But if you're in the Johannesburg area next week, you might pop along to Ellis Park, mightn't you?
No, we mustn't. I was joking.
Old quotes coming back to haunt you.
No, why don't we go on and win it 3-0 now? I mean, we've won the series, you know, it's fantastic. Let's think about next week. Tonight, I tell you what, it's going to be one hell of a party.
Good.
All over the world.
Good luck to you, John. Well done. Congratulations.
Everybody, hello.
Yeah, it's going to be a big night in Cleckheaton, without doubt. Phil, what do you make of what we've just heard from John? He's such a refreshing character, isn't he?
Oh, he is. I mean, he's there for all to see. He's a very, very honest character. That's fantastic. I mean, he was right there. He's a real supporters man, supporters player, and a player's player, and that just shows he's a great character.
He epitomises really what this tour has been about, doesn't it? This incredible, almost unique spirit that they've got.
Oh, they're all working for each other, and at the end of the day, it's hard work that's won them that, and it's hard work and commitment that's won that the series. They've been magnificent, and they put their bodies on the line for each other, and that's what makes the difference between winning and losing Test matches.
He's quite a character, isn't he, Dowie? That reaction was unique to John. I mean, the fact that he wanted to do so many things on that final whistle.
That's him all over, isn't it? I mean, he's been caught entertainments, I think, out there all the time. But like you said, you train with the guys week in, week out, twice a day, every day, and that's what builds the spirit. And, you know, if Jan hadn't been injured, John may not be given a chance. That's what happens again. He's taken it, again, with both hands, and credit to him. You know, he's gone through and shone like a beacon, really, for the rest of the lads. You know, you see him out there, he was the first person people were trying to get to themselves to congratulate. And a great character, and epitomises the Lion spirit.
Well, we've talked about Ian McGeechan, how he's likely to have sore ribs. We can now find out if he has. He, too, is with Graham.
David, thank you very much. Ian McGeechan, this is why your hair goes grey, you see. This is what happens.
Yeah, I think I've been falling out next, I think. But, a tremendous victory for the players. I mean, we felt we've got a special team out here, and I think in the end that was team spirit and just total dedication to keep playing. And we gave soft points away, but we kept coming back. And again, the last 15 minutes, we just started to get an edge. And however the points come in the end, we just have to call it beautiful timing, I think.
We were talking the other day and you were saying we've got to meet fire with fire, and as you put it in your lovely way, keep our brains in the fridge. It's a difficult thing to do, but you did it today.
Yeah, I thought we were just a bit loose in the first half and didn't play as well or do what we wanted to do. But I think the great thing is that, they all are in the game all the time, and it didn't faze us that we went behind. We just kept playing, and I think that's the nice thing, and that's all credit to the players, really. They just kept playing and say you get the chances, and then all you can do is take them. 100% kicking record, and here we are. We've won a Test series.
Well, just alongside you, Irish eyes smiling. is Paul Wallace, one of the unsung heroes of the tour. Many congratulations. Was that as ferocious up front as it looked?
It certainly was. They really came back, you know, it was payback for Cape Town. And we just sort of weathered the storm. They must be kicking themselves really, you know, after scoring 3 tries. But we just had a team spirit there. Everyone just stuck in and eventually pulled us through.
I was just asking some of the other guys earlier on what went between their ears when the final whistle blew. What was going on between your ears?
Disbelief, really. I had to keep looking at the scoreboard. We'd been behind nearly all the game. And, you know, just over all the second half and just claw their way back. I just couldn't believe that we'd actually won it.
Thanks for talking to us, Paul. If I just come across a wheel around here, the manager is here. Fran, we've had Martin Johnson in here almost in tears a little bit earlier on. Is it as an emotional moment for you as it is for him?
Oh, it is. I'm delighted for Martin and the whole squad because they've been a very good group to be with. I mean, the attitude and the focus has been quite incredible. I've never seen it, certainly on any tours I've been on. And all credit to them. That was one hell of a game. They hung in on the ropes, you know, and we took our chances. We didn't play particularly well, so hopefully next week we can get that together. But you know, to come down here and win a Test series 3 times in the whole history of South African rugby have ever done it, that's the achievement that these boys have created for themselves.
I was in my hotel room last night and they were showing a rerun of 1974 and a certain prop forward who I recognised who was running about on the pitch. How does it compare then and now, Fran? It's the obvious question, but how does it compare?
Well, you can't really compare him as a player. It's far better as a player than it is as the manager. It's the next best thing. But I'm just delighted for the players. You know, you don't always get your just rewards when you put a lot of time and effort in. But on this occasion, they've actually got just rewards for the commitment as a squad to one another and achieving the goal of beating the Springboks.
Many congratulations. Well done, Fran.
Well, as Fran said, they may not have played that well, but certainly the focus was 100% right. Phil, where does this leave the argument about Northern Hemisphere against the Southern Hemisphere? Remember, the Lions have just beaten the world champions on their own territory. This is an interesting mix now.
Well, I think professionalism in the Northern Hemisphere is making a difference. There's no question about that, and it's making a difference very quickly. I mean, they've effectively been professional in the Southern Hemisphere for a lot longer than we have up here, and we're closing the gap. But you know, it's always, when you put the best players together from the Northern and the Southern Hemisphere, it's very, very close. I mean, there's not that much difference between them. There never really has been. It's just a question of making sure that they gel and work well together, and that's what the Lions have done. They played as a team, not as a collection of units or as individuals from different countries. And
a lot of the cynics did point to South Africa, to Australia and New Zealand and say, look at the gap between them and us in the Northern Hemisphere. And Dowie, this is a good argument against all that, isn't it? They had it wrong.
Yeah, for once they had it wrong. I mean, it's always the case that we take the benchmark off the Australians or off the New Zealanders especially, and now the South Africans, and it's one up for us. You know, we've just seen, unfortunately, what happened to the rugby league with the competition. You know, there's so many streets ahead of us now. If we learn from this, again, it wasn't like France had a classic game. It doesn't matter. You know, we are getting there, and almost, hopefully, we are creating something now. We're taking them over for a change.
And one more point on this,
Phil? I think there's a big difference at the moment in the Southern Hemisphere between New Zealand and the rest. I think New Zealand are way ahead of South Africa and Australia. Well, I mean, in South Africa, obviously, they had a very, very close test, but at the moment, the New Zealanders are the best side in the world by a considerable margin.
Right, well, we've still got some more analysis and reaction to come. In a moment, we'll be hearing from Neil Jenkins, the goal-kicking hero of the Lions, and as well, we'll be telling the story of the match. That's after this break. Stay with us. And welcome back. If you've just joined us, I can tell you that it's been an historic day in Durban where the Lions have beaten the Springboks. They now are 2-0 up in the series. They can't be caught, and really it's been a quite wonderful day for the Lions and their supporters. We are now going to extend our programme. We'll be with you till very nearly 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm delighted to say that Phil de Glanville and Dowie Morris have been here sharing all the excitement and the wonderful moments with me. We'll be hearing from them again in a moment, and we'll also be hearing from one or two more of the key players in that dramatic match. It really was quite superb. But right now, let's just take you back through the story of the match, briefly taking in the highlights. And Phil, I know that this was a huge start for South Africa, as we expected.
As we expected, taking it on through the forwards, and really, I mean, you say the story of the match. I mean, this is the story of the match. Yeah. Driving through the forwards, missing the penalties. Fortunately, the big 10-minute start, but they missed their penalties, and it allowed
that too was the story of the match, wasn't it? Those two areas.
Story of the match again with the Lions getting the penalties and Neil Jenkins slotting them over.
He looked so solid, didn't he? Every time he approached the ball, you thought he was going to score.
He wasn't going to miss. Good kicking ground, as we talked to before, his non-kicking foot. But this man obviously setting up Kruger, that was a talking point, but on the line is out. And it's total force, Durban trying to go over. Lawrence has got him.
Huge defensive effort.
He just kept going and going, and then unfortunately he's always a danger. And there he just gets the try, which you've got to say South Africa totally deserved with the power they were putting on, the pressure they were putting on.
Yeah.
But as we know, they missed the kick again, and they didn't kick one all day, which in the end saved the Lions. But rugby's a great game.
Now we're into the second half, Phil, and I know we were worried. I mean, we're none of us good watchers, but did you actually think that it would finish the way it did?
Well, I mean, this was I'll take flips the ball out of the back of his hand there. It was just after half time that was a killer blow, really. And to hold themselves in that position is magnificent mental strength from the Lions, because it was a soft try, very soft try, and obviously the South Africans capitalised on it, and they're away, and they could have folded at that stage because the pressure was still coming through all the time, mainly through the forwards.
Scott Gibbs had yet another huge impact. This time, they're on
Durban's going to have a sore head tomorrow.
For the people that don't know, that guy is probably in the region of 22 stone.
Yeah.
And he's just Scotty Gibbs, who's about 15 and a half. He tells you probably. Yeah. He's just bounced him off. And that again sets up a good 3 points for the Lions. Unfortunately, Mr. Bentley won't like this.
No.
Mr. Joubert playing better than he did last week, and again, Lions behind, but they came back once more, and that's just the credit of the side, the credit of the spirit they've shown. The heads could have gone down, but at no stage did they.
At no stage did they give up. Huge commitment.
Exactly, and here's the man again. We thought this had missed, actually, but he deserves. I think they'll be singing his praises down at Ponty tonight.
He's one of the quietest men around, but he's a magic man.
Davidson line-out win there, another good performance from him.
I mean, the line-out actually was a bit scrappy. This is about the first ball, they moved wide, and the tape gets round his man, and again sets up another chance a little bit later on for the penalty. But the line-out was scrappy, certainly in the first half. They threw a couple of loose balls back, which put Dawson under all sorts of pressure.
And then coming up the moment which really had us on our feet here, this was just pure magic.
Well, Gregor nearly actually made it there, and there's a little punch which number 19 give on Rodders, clearing the ball, and we used to call him Jack in the side before. All right, Jack. And of all the people to choose, Jerry Gascott, he did it in '89 when he tripped that ball through against Australia, and the coolest character on the pitch, and then from then on it was just total defence.
And another big hit.
That man does it again. Scotty Gibbs, you can't. And everyone thought then with the final kick, but obviously he asked the referee the ball was going to go out. Next time the ball goes out, I'll blow. What did he do? He put it straight out. We thought, he knew. And look at that.
Stuff, I mean, look at Jerry Gascott's face there. I mean, that fantastic picture.
I'd like to see it in the morning after a few cases of Castle beer. It will look a bit haggard, but they deserve it. I can't say, it's just unbelievable.
Let's now go back to Kings Park. We can hear from another Lions hero. This time it's the man who did so well with the boot, Neil Jenkins. He's with Graham Simmons again.
Well, Neil Jenkins, many congratulations. It doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Most definitely not. We were pretty pleased after last Saturday, but we realised that it was another 2 test matches to go, and especially this one, which we look forward to, and try to wrap the series up. And it's just magnificent. We've done it.
You never missed all day long. You had bread of heaven ringing in your ears as you were kicking every time, but it must have been a cold one out there.
It was superb, magnificent. The fans have been absolutely superb. The last couple of weeks since most of them have got over here, and they really backed the team today. I thought maybe they thought we were down at 15-9, but I think we showed the true spirit of the side today, and we come through and won.
Everyone's going to talk about the kicks and the points, Neil, but they put you under a lot of pressure at fullback this week that they didn't do last week, and you came through that with flying colours as well.
Yeah, I dropped 2 up and unders. One I should have caught, especially at the end of the second half. But in all, things worked out. There was a lot more kicking done to me than obviously, as you said, last week. But as I say, the back three worked hard today. We worked hard all of last week as well. Trying to snuff the kicks out, and as I say, pay dividends today.
Many congratulations, Neil. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Neil Jenkins is another player who maybe against the odds has succeeded, because there were people who said this is not the right sort of guy to be playing in that position, Dowie.
Well, they did say it, yes, but I mean, when you're kicking like that, you've got to find a place for him. Unfortunately, Gregor had this tendency at outside half where Neil can play equally as good, but you know, he's stuck in. He's gone to fullback, not his position, but he's shown today what the feeling and the putting the shirt on means to you. A few occasions he's out of position. He doesn't give that much threat when coming into the line. It doesn't matter. I'm not bothered. If he can kick goals like that, he'd be in my side every time.
OK, right, we're going to take another break. Hopefully after that we'll be hearing from one or two of the beaten Springboks, but right now we will take that break. Back with you in a couple of minutes. Well, there are highlights of New Zealand against Argentina and also Australia against France. 2 tests that happened earlier today, still to come, but we are still enjoying the afterglow of that 3rd live test that we've shown you today here on Sky Sports. But having heard from some of the Lions, we can now hear from the beaten Springbok captain, Gary Teichmann of Natal. He's with Andy Capistano.
Gary, it must be a very sad day for you. You scored 3 tries to 0 and you've lost the series.
Yeah, no, obviously we're all very disappointed. It's not what we are aiming for, but we'll stick together and we'll work at it. The number of penalties we're giving away, we'll look at that and we'll come back let's par.
Seemed to be a real problem around the fringes of the tackle ball with a lot of penalties given away there.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to either we must look at ourselves and I don't know, maybe it's the interpretation. I don't know. There are a number of times that there were silly penalties were given away.
And yet there seemed to be a different spirit in the Springbok side this week, and you still couldn't pull it through.
Yeah, well, you know, it was very close, and obviously a couple of kicks were missed, and I was just very happy that the way the guys stood together after a hard week. The young guys did very well. Percy Montgomery scored a try in his debut, so I was very happy with that.
Gary, thanks very much for talking to us on what must be a very disappointing day.
It sure was. Gary Teichmann obviously not best pleased, but overall, Phil, you have to say this is starting to approach crisis time for South African rugby. Karel du Plessis will now be under huge pressure, and obviously the players are too.
Yeah, I mean, they will. I mean, you know, they've lost a 2nd series in a row, having lost to New Zealand earlier on, so, you know, by any stretch of imagination, that's bad news in South Africa and in a country which is so keen on its rugby, I mean, passionate on its rugby.
Yeah.
They're going to be in for a tough week.
This is a nation which is not renowned for its modesty, Dowie, so you presumably aren't too unhappy about the state of affairs, are we?
I'm not bothered, actually. I've been out there and I've had a few kick-ins, as a few of the lads have, and I couldn't be happier today. No. I really couldn't. And I think, to be honest, I think we'll be hearing from Karel du Plessis, but I think his time may have come, to be honest.
Do you? You really think this is it?
Think they don't stand for this. I mean, to the second, like Phil said, the 2nd test series they've lost in succession, and they don't suffer fools lightly.
Right, we can now hear from Karel du Plessis. He, once again, is with Andy Capistano.
Well, Karel du Plessis, it's on your shoulders that the series defeat rests. Is there any crumb of comfort for you?
It was very disappointing. We were ready to take this match, and we lost it. We scored tries, it wasn't good enough. We needed a few points through kicking, but in the end, we couldn't finish it off properly, and it's very disappointing.
It's the new age we're talking about. We want to see tries scored, and yet this game was lost through poor place kicking.
Well, yes, certainly. You also need your penalties to convert them into points. So it's important that we missed that.
Is that going to be high on your agenda for the 3rd test, finding a place kicker?
Well, yes, certainly. We're looking for a complete player in terms of kicking ability as well, in any position in the back line. But certainly, we're not going to all of a sudden move on to and focus just onto that. We'd still be looking to play an attractive, exciting rugby, attacking rugby, and score tries. So I believe we have the players to do just that.
But you had a lot of ball today. You scored the 3 tries, but really it could have been a lot more.
Yes, it should have been more. We had a few chances. We missed that, and it's once again, test level. You should put it into points. You cannot afford to miss it.
And the pressure that's on you now, is it the sort of thing that you feel you can bear for the rest of the year?
Well, the pressure will always be there. Pressure will definitely not just vanish into thin air, and it's a challenge still that we pick the team up, but they are a good side. They've done well. We couldn't finish it off the way we wanted to, but I believe we'll be back in the next week and just prove a point.
Well, he's still smiling, or at least trying to, but how long he'll be able to, goodness only knows. But we can now hear from yet another of the successful Lions side, Ireland's Jeremy Davidson, 2nd row. He once again is with Graham.
Jeremy Davidson, many congratulations. You look as fresh as Daisy, if I may say so, but I'm sure you don't feel that way.
Yeah, I've got a few bumps and bruises. I'm sure I'll be licking them tomorrow.
We keep talking to you at the end of test matches, don't we? And you had another superb game today.
Well, we played as a 15-man team, as well as the subs that come on. We've got such a good squad that anybody that fits in plays well. We work really well as a unit. The management have been brilliant. They've really set us up for a good series here. We've worked very hard, and you can see the sort of benefits. Whenever you're under so much pressure from the South Africans, and you can take it and you can still take your penalties away and win the game, I think it's credit to everybody in the squad.
We were talking to your second row partner and captain Martin Johnson a few moments ago, and he almost looked like he couldn't quite believe it. Can you believe it, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's starting to sink in now. The crowd were just going mad out there, and it gets you such a high. Everybody's been brilliant, and we're just so happy to get this win, but we're still looking forward to the next game next week, and we don't want to disappoint the South Africans.
Good luck to you, Jeremy. Well done. Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, very soon we'll be hearing from Matt Dawson and Jim Telfer, heroes all, but let's just go back to our studio guests. I mean, Jeremy, again, if you like, epitomises the qualities of this Lions side. I mean, in a way, an unsung hero, got through so much work, not a star name when he went out there, but boy, is he assured of a place in the old history books again. Exactly. Maybe a little bit of a shock name going out there, and almost, Simon Shaw, Martin Johnson, that was the test partnership. Yeah. But this is the success of the tour has been that they can actually get this guy up a bit. I think Shaw's is a bit too heavy. Jeremy physically is that much lighter, isn't he? I mean, it's difficult because, you got someone like Simon who's about, again, 22 stone, whereas, Jeremy's probably in the region of 18.5. Yeah. And he's that easier to get up. Easier and he's on also the hands. So that may have been the instant, but he's also a great ball handler. Yeah. So, credit to him, he's performed fantastically, you've got to say again. Yeah, he was a good performer, wasn't he, Phil, throughout? Yeah, outstanding. Just superb. They threw a little bit less ball to him in this test than they did in the last one, all went to him, but, almost all of it he secured, and he secured well. Perhaps one loose one earlier on, and that was it. And he was on the end of Scott Gibbs when Scott Gibbs burst through the middle. Yeah. He was on the end to take that ball on forward as well. So, a great player. Yet again, there were doubts about that partnership with Martin Johnson. People said it hadn't been tried before. It might not work. Yeah, I think what Fran Cotton and the selectors and Ian McGeechan have done is they've gone in with no preconceived ideas, and they're willing to try anything. The players are willing to try anything on the field, and they're willing to try anything as far as selection is concerned. And they're not playing the safety book at all. They'll take risks, and they've done those. Good. Well, let's go back once again to Kings Park in Durban. This time the interviewer for us is Stuart Barnes. He's come down from the commentary box. This time he's with Matt Dawson and Jim Telfer.
Jim Telfer, we've been talking to some of the players about what was going through their ears there at the final whistle. What was going through your mind?
It was unbelievable because we'd been behind until the last 2-3 minutes, so I just couldn't believe it. I was watching the referee more than I was watching the play. But the score wasn't the same as Cape Town, but it was kind of similar to Cape Town in many ways, wasn't it? Well, I think that we actually played better in Cape Town. I think if we look back, we'll reflect it. We didn't play particularly well. They had quite a lot of possession, but we also gifted them 2 tries. And we were up at half-time and we talked about taking the game to them, and immediately we lost a try. So it was an uphill struggle after that. But Neil Jenkins, you have to be in their half to score the points, and we scored 18 points, so 5 penalties and a drop goal can't be bad. The All Blacks found it hard work winning a series down here, Jim. Where does this put us in the context of world rugby now? I think you're quite high up. People tend to think that the All Blacks came here and annihilated the Springboks. That's not true. They scraped through just the same as us. And I think we've done a lot for Northern Hemisphere rugby, the kind of rugby we've played, and hopefully we continue to play. We didn't get a chance to play the kind of game we wanted today, but fair dues that the boys still stuck in. The defence was excellent. We didn't give any kickable penalties away. And as I say, the last two tries were quite soft tries. Jim, many congratulations. Matt Dawson is alongside, the hero of Newlands, and one of the heroes tonight. How good does this feel, Matt?
Words are not really going to describe it until we've had a few beers tonight and celebrate it. It was, as Jim said, it wasn't particularly a great game for our behalf. We had probably about 30-40% of the ball, which to win a game off that is a tremendous effort in defence. The defence, as you were saying, was absolutely awesome today. Stuart Barnes in the commentary said it was probably one of the best defensive performances by a team he's ever seen. Yeah, I'd have to go along with that. We pride ourselves on defence. We got a bit carried away in the first half and maybe didn't concentrate on attack too much, and we said at half-time that we were going to get to grips with that. We made a few knock-ons, but when you've got defence like that and you put so much pressure on your opposition, you're always going to be in with a shout with a kicker like Neil Jenkins. Well done, the pair of you. Many congratulations. Have a good night. I'm sure you will.
You'll have spotted tonight's deliberate error. Of course, that wasn't Stuart Barnes, that was Graham Simmons, but obviously Stuart on his way down, somewhere maybe stuck in the lift. If you're wondering where the Super League action is, don't worry, it'll be with you soon. We are extending the rugby union coverage of the Lions tour because of the terrific performance by the Lions, beating South Africa this afternoon in Durban. Well, still to come, an awful lot. We've got highlights from New Zealand, Argentina, Australia, France, and more reaction yet. Stay with us and come back after this break. Gavin Hastings, the former Lions captain, is part of the Sky Sports team out in South Africa. He's down below the stadium at Kings Park in Durban with our man Stuart Barnes, who's managed to get himself out of the lift.
Because we've been retired for a couple of years, but both Gavin and myself are totally exhausted after that game. Gav, where do we start?
Well, I just think the commitment of the Lions side, Stuart, was unbelievable. I mean, coming into the last 15 minutes, they're 15 points to 9 down, and they just managed to inner resolve that really put it there. And Neil Jenkins' kicking was out of this world, and the drop goal by Jerry in the last minute there, it was just fantastic. But these guys will really live with those memories for the rest of their lives, but they deserve it. We've heard all tour about their team spirit and the way that they just sort of grouped together, and I think that showed the very essence of that in the last quarter today.
I mean, they've played some wonderfully positive rugby, and they've taken British rugby to a new dimension, but when it comes to the big issue, it was about something bigger than just skill and technical ability, wasn't it?
Well, that's right, and I think that just seeing the smiles on the faces there of Jim Telfer and Ian McGeechan and Fran Cotton also, I think the quality of the management in this particular tour has been first class, and it strikes me that the professionalism has gone right the way through. They've left nothing to chance, and the quality of Neil Jenkins' goal kicking. We obviously saw that South Africa never converted any of their chances, and at the end that's what made the difference. And you've got to say to Jenkins, I mean, he kicked just unbelievable, 6 out of 6, and it's a really tremendous achievement.
I mean, from South Africa's point of view, the problem was they had so much territory and so much possession, but psychologically it's just vital, isn't it, Gavin, to come away with points on the board?
Well, that's right. I mean, it was all the way through the game. You saw them start off at such a ferocious pace, the Springbok forward pack, and yet they still didn't manage to convert their penalty chances into points. And the quality of the Lions' defence we saw last week in Cape Town, it was absolutely fantastic. I felt that they had to move up a gear, and I really felt that they did that today. And, you know, Scott Gibbs, for 2 games in a row now, he's put the utter frighteners on the Springbok opposition. And that, I think, at the end of the day, was what won this Test series for the Lions, the quality of their defence.
Well, heart and soul, and a quite wonderful defensive effort from the 1997 Lions. 1974 at last consigned to history as Gavin and myself head possibly for a quiet drink. Back to you, David.
I thought they might somehow. Well, I think we've just about summed it all up, but let's have the final verdict then on what we've seen today, Phil. It's been such a huge occasion. Just briefly, what are your thoughts looking
Well, huge occasion, massive effort. I mean, immortality. I mean, they talked about that. They will remember this for the rest of their lives, and nobody can ever take it away from them.
And Dowie, how would you sum up what we've seen?
I just hope there's enough beer left in the pubs tonight, because I'm sure all the lads will be out drinking. It was just an awesome display, and credit to everybody that's been involved in the Lions. I think we've actually stamped authority and said, right, the Northern Hemisphere mean business, and it's about time we did it.
Fine, thanks very much indeed to both of you. We've enjoyed your company. Well, the British Lions, they're back in action on Tuesday. Live coverage of their game against Northern Free State. That's from 2 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. Next Friday, another special preview of the 3rd Test. That's on Sky Sports 1 at 6:30. And then next Saturday, we've live coverage of the final Test from Ellis Park in Johannesburg. We'll say goodbye for now, but there's no doubt it's been an historic day for the Lions. Well done to them. We'll see you during the week. Bye for now.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. much more than I never knew. And I think to myself,